All right. Yes. Oh, man. Ooh. I got an energy drink here. I don't need it. But I do have one anyway. We are missing Big Chief Shawn and Gooch, but I got Keas from the Bak Talk Review, and I got Luke G. Keas, man, introduce yourself for those of you who do not know who you are.
Oh man, I'm trying to be Dan's sponsor, but he doesn't want help. But yeah, I'm the K in the Bak Talk Bros, and hopefully Gooch, who is the B, gets on here soon. And yeah, big fan of the show and ready to hit it.
Man, I'm a big fan of yours, and I got the link to your show down below. And then I have a real special treat. I got Luke G of the Luke G Field Review here, man. Luke, thank you so much for joining me, man.
Man, listen, Ax, and we can always have fun. I'm excited for this. I talk all Lions in general, but to talk about the other teams is going to be a whole lot more fun for me to just break it all down. So I'm excited for this, man. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, man, I'm excited for you to be here, man. I'm excited for you to be here. And you know what? We got one of the guys here. I don't know if this is Gooch or Big Chief Shawn here, man. I got the talent. So we got Gooch on board. Gooch, welcome, brother.
Hey, I can't turn down a chance to be on the dance show, baby.
Oh, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on here. I'm excited, man. I mean, I got Luke G Field Review and the Bak Talk Brothers subscription down below. If you are not subscribed to either one of these channels, you need to. And Luke, you also missed out on saying the number one thing I love about your channel. When it comes to college football, doing the draft, breaking down the players, oh man, your channel's first rate, man.
Hey, no, listen, I appreciate that. I basically just tell it like I see it. I let my eyes tell me what I need to know. All the other pro football focus trash and all that, I don't need it. I don't need it.
You're right about that. One thing we have in common is our hatred of Pro Football Focus, one of the most worthless sites there. I'm going to start off here, and I'll start off with Keas here. Man, Aaron Rodgers. That's if you watch Good Morning Football like I do, you've been watching ESPN. The whole show, it's like 95%. Where is Aaron Rodgers going to? When's he going to sign with the Jets? If and when he signs with the Jets, which seems like it's going to happen, it's just a matter of time. Two-part question here. Are the Jets a Super Bowl contender, and what do the Jets have to give up to get Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I think that's the big question. Dan, you know me well enough to know that for me, a Super Bowl contender, I would say 99% of the time it's about the head coach quarterback combo. Mm-hmm. We've been over that before. So, I think Robert Saleh, Aaron Rodgers, I think that's a great combo. So I would say, yeah, I think they would. I thought that I don't want to sound like, kind of going back to the Broncos stuff before, but they looked like they were basically a quarterback away. I know they had one of our draft crushes, Breece Hall, go down with that injury. That was really crushing because they didn't really have the quarterback, but they still figured I was going to watch them just to see Breece Hall, and then that happened. But yeah, I would think so, unless Aaron Rodgers has really hit a cliff. I would say so. I would put them in probably one of the 6 or 8 teams that I would consider a legit contender.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm completely with you, man. Gooch, man, what's your opinion if Rodgers ends up with the Jets? I mean, a lot of crazy things will happen here. Are they a Super Bowl contender? And let me ask you this, or what do they need to give up to get Rodgers?
See, now I get that question. Okay, so I think it all depends on which Aaron Rodgers shows up. Is it motivated Aaron? Is it PO'd Aaron because he came out and the Packers decided they were going to move on, or so he says? I mean, if you've got a motivated Aaron Rodgers with, as Keas stated, with Breece Hall, they've added Lazard, but they already had 2 stud wide receivers, and that defense is only going to get better. I mean, if they're not in the playoffs, I'll be shocked, and I really am interested to see because Josh Allen has kind of ruled that division for a couple years, and I mean, obviously he started his trek back to the norm, does that make Aaron the best quarterback in that division? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
That's a great question. That is a great question.
We're getting at it tonight.
And quite honestly, if Green Bay is all in on Jordan Love and they've got their draft board and stuff set up, Green Bay, the Jets aren't going to give up 13. So I would assume probably whatever their seconds are this year and the first next year, because they're going to be good. And that's probably what I give up for them. The Packers want him gone. They can dig their heels in, but you really want him gone. You're not going to eat that $60 million. We know it. You know what I'm saying? And the Jets know it. So they're not going to just be like, oh, you can have one of our 2 very high picks. No. We'll give you a couple second rounders, the first next year, maybe a 4th and a 5th.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, is that you could give up a 2024 first round pick and maybe Green Bay, they're picking 15th this year. Maybe they'll go for that. Man, Luke, I wanted to finish with you because you've probably watched more Aaron Rodgers than all of us over the years, being a Detroit Lions fan. So let me ask you this, man, since you've watched them, does this turn the Jets into a Super Bowl contender?
No, no. I mean, listen, like, everybody is loving what Aaron Rodgers does, and they should. He's earned that respect. But at the end of the day, Super Bowl, he couldn't get to Super Bowl with the Packers, a better team, right? The Super Bowl seems so inflated of a mark for him to have to get to, so it's not gonna happen. But in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers is still better than most, but not somebody that I'm looking at that can come in and help full-fledged revamp a squad at this point. The Jets got a lot of problems. Yeah, they went out and added his receiver, but at the end of the day, you still got a host of other issues that you're going to have to deal with Aaron Rodgers. And I wonder whose voice is going to be louder, Robert Saleh's, or is it going to be his? And if it's going to be his, you're going to run into a whole lot of problems. So no, it's too it's unfair to think that, oh, we get Aaron Rodgers to the Super Bowl, we go. He didn't do it with the Packers. He's definitely not going to do it in a harder division.
Can I rebut?
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. Yeah.
First off, I want to say, Luke G, I just found out about you because of Dan, and you've got some great stuff. So let me put that out there.
Yeah, real great stuff.
But the Jets went 7-4 with a third-string backup, a Barca lounger, and some lawn furniture at quarterback last year before they fell off a cliff. I mean, I would have to assume that he would be markedly better in a division where Josh Allen has regressed without Dayball, and Tua is probably, God forbid, one concussion away from not playing ever again. And who knows what Mac Jones is. I mean, I'm not going to say Brett Favre-ish, but when they started thinking Brett Favre was done, he went to Minnesota at 39, 40 years old and put together 2 of the greatest seasons of his career. And Aaron, let's face it, is loads better. I mean, he's probably the most pure thrower of the football of anybody I've ever seen not named Mahomes. I mean, he's been the best quarterback throwing the football in the league for the whole time he's been in until Mahomes got there. I just don't think you can run him. Okay, maybe not Super Bowl, but definitely scary in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I would say playoffs. I'm not saying I don't think they would, because I only think there's a few teams that are actually legit Super Bowl contenders, but at least to get to the dance, and then you never know what's going to happen, right? Like, you can face a team like the 49ers, and if something happens, they lose all their quarterbacks. And that's not a slight at the Eagles. I'm just saying, if there were a situation like that, you could, as long as you get in the dance, you don't know what can happen. If a team does lose their first and second string quarterbacks, you could sneak in. So, yeah, I'm with you, Gooch. I wouldn't say Super Bowl because I think there's only a few legit teams, few legit quarterbacks, a few legit rosters, few legit head coaches that have the whole package where they're actually capable of winning the Super Bowl this next year, at least so far.
But I think that when you look at the question was Super Bowl. And all I heard is a lot of talk about his ability to possibly win the division. And that doesn't mean anything. I've seen Aaron Rodgers win a division. And I've seen him get to the playoffs. And I've seen him swiftly leave the playoffs. And at the end of the day, we were talking about Super Bowl. So I'm looking for we were talking about Super Bowls. And so at that point, he doesn't elevate them to the point of being Super Bowl contenders. He's in a harder division. I think we could talk and say the things about Josh Allen, that's cool. We can say the things that we want about Tua. That's cool. But this is a team sport. And I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but they've been retooling, especially the Dolphins. The Dolphins have 100% been retooling. And so when you start to look at what they're doing, and you're talking about a guy who refused to just work out with new receivers, now he's supposed to come in and have a new attitude. Like, no, this is not a 70s disco show. He's going to come in and the first thing he's going to do is say, I'm Aaron freaking Rodgers. Y'all get on board or not. And that's why they suffered last year, where people were trying to say that he didn't have receivers. And I'm thinking, well, yes, he do. He just never really did anything to get in rhythm with him. And so it took longer for them to mesh together. But had he put the work in, I can see it. That is not going to change because he's going there. He's, like he said, he was 90% before going into the darkness, retired. He should have stayed in the darkness because at that point, you were done. 90%. Do you have any idea how many kids right now in college would kill for 90% on the test? Like 90%? Yeah, I just don't think that at that point we can crown him when he's won one Super Bowl, and even that one Super Bowl he won, that was it. So that's what I'm saying. The question was Super Bowl. If you want to tell me he's going to win a division, I still might think you might have been into the good cookie jar, but still, Super Bowl, no.
I'll say this. Sorry, Dan.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say a couple things. You're right. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to change his personality, but I think there's a part of his personality that we're going to see come out and kind of overshadow the rest of that. And that's his pettiness. So I think that's going to come out. And I think it's going to cause him to do some things that he wouldn't normally do just because he wants to shut people up. But I think the other thing is, and I know Dan would disagree with me, we kind of had this argument last year when we were looking at quarterbacks and head coaches, is Matt LaFleur really is untested. Like the question was, is the success because of Aaron Rodgers? Or is the success because of Matt LaFleur, or both, or what? Mm-hmm. So I think this year is going to be a good year to test that for both of them. Is the lack of success, how much of that was Aaron Rodgers? How much of it was Matt LaFleur? I don't know any of us who would really say that we think it was Mike McCarthy that was leading them, not Aaron Rodgers, but maybe there's someone out there. So I don't know. I like Robert Saleh. So I like this combination. Again, I think there's only a few teams, though, that are legit like Super Bowl contenders. But playoff contenders, definitely.
I just can't wait for that moment in a game where it really matters and they got to have it and something goes wrong. And Aaron Rodgers looks over to Robert Saleh and says, lose my number, nice try. I just can't wait for it. It's coming. It's coming. And when it happens, I'm just going to sit back with a big bowl of popcorn covered in butter and just go, well, this is much of the same as what I thought it was going to be.
Dan, how many women have told you that same line?
You know what?
Keep an eye out for Big Chief. He said he's coming.
All right, good. I want to add two things here. Number one, I'm not dogging the NFC, but the AFC is a stronger conference. So I mean, you're going from the NFC to the AFC
subjectively.
And then that AFC East, Luke, you touched base on that. Nobody's talking about the Patriots. They made some really smart, low-key moves. Miami, I did not see that coming where they added Ramsey. They don't care about draft picks in Miami. And then you got Buffalo, who it was an embarrassing loss to in the playoffs. I mean, that was embarrassing. You're at home and you put up 10 points with that offense. But still, how many years have they won that division? 3 straight years they've won the AFC East. So, you got the better conference. Is the AFC East the toughest division in football? I mean, everybody says the AFC West last year. I don't know. Is it the AFC East?
I feel like to try to gauge it at this point is too early, right? Because everything needs to gel together, right? It'd be premature, like you just got that hot girl that you didn't know you was going to get, and it'd be way too premature to start saying things like, "Oh, they're the hardest division," right? And at the end of the day, it just has to come down to what gels and what don't. It has to be a combination of the perfect storm. It has to be coaches. It has to be players. It has to be schedule. We know who people play. We don't know when. All that stuff makes a difference, because if you're telling me that the Jets got to now have a bunch of games where they go from, say, now the East Coast to the West Coast, back to the East Coast, back to the West Coast, that could have an effect on how they play. And so those different little things to me are things that it's hard to account for right now. What I can say is this: each team is doing their best job to retool and reface themselves, and that's what we should be looking at. That's what we should be focusing on. And to me, when you're looking at those pieces, the argument about what's the best division and the worst doesn't matter. If you want to say conference-wise, who has more teams, that's subjectively debatable in my opinion, because I can make a strong argument for teams that many people are overlooking, including my Lions, right? And so at the end of the day, I want to let's let everything gel, because some people gonna fall, some people's gonna get hurt in training camp, some people's gonna get cut that got signed just now that people thought was gonna make the team. It's just too many variables for us to kind of make a decision fully on what is the best division.
You're 100% right. I mean, one thing I don't know how much you're aware of this, but we know it here in Kansas City. Every single year, the Chargers are going to win the AFC West. It's been like 4 or 5 straight years. You hear, oh, the Chargers are loaded. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. It's their year. I tried telling people that Denver wasn't going to win the Super Bowl. People told me I was crazy. They're the best team in football after they signed Russell Wilson. So, I mean, we completely get it with the hype. You know what? Sloanheads has an interesting point. Enough with the Rodgers and the Jets. Well, that was the first question that I wanted to get out, because that's been a popular topic on basically you turn on any sports show, you're hearing Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. So I wanted to get the guys that have really good YouTube channels, guys that I respect that know their football. I wanted to get their opinion on it. But hey, Sloan, man, we'll answer your question, man. What's the take on Jordan Love? Is he for real with Christian Watson? To me, it sounds more dangerous than the agent bet we beat bad teams 2 years ago. All right, it's a great question, man. Tell you what, we'll answer your question, man. Who wants to go first and answer Sloanhead's question?
Jordan Love. All right, for the Packer fans out there, I know you holding your breath, right? But if I was you, I would breathe, because holding your breath is going to do nothing more than kill you deeper inside when you realize that he's probably not going to be the guy for you. And my reality to that is just the simple fact that he's had opportunity to come in the game and make certain passes and stuff, but I feel like you can see him out there still thinking, and I don't know how long it's going to take him before he settles down and do it. Do I believe that Jordan Love? Do I believe? I don't think he's. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be an okay quarterback, and that's not enough for y'all to win with. If I'm coming into games right now, my sole purpose is to shut down Aaron Jones. That's my sole purpose. Jordan gonna have to make me a believer, and if you're anything like me, a fanatic of the X-Files, I feel like he's an alien because I don't buy it. It sounds good for a good movie, but he's not somebody that I'm willing to hedge my bet on.
All right. And what about, we got joined here with Big Chief Shawn here, man. Big Chief Shawn, man, welcome, brother.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. We got an echoing thing in the background.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on that right now.
All right. But hey, listen, Sloanheads is sick of the Aaron Rodgers talk. He wants to hear about Jordan Love. I don't know if Sloanheads is a Packers fan or a Lions fan.
Enough.
So I think that echoes. I'm sorry, I hate to cut you off. That echo is coming from somebody on the phone. Is somebody using the phone?
Yeah, Big Chief Shawn did that. I apologize, man. We got the echo. You got something going on.
Hold on, give me a second, guys.
All right. I'll tell you what, I'm going to mute you until you get this figured out here. Keas, man, you have a take on Jordan Love with the Packers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Gooch and I haven't seen him as much as Luke has, but we did see the Packers, and I've watched some Packer games, ones where he's played, and to me, he doesn't really have it. And I think your best case as a Packers fan is for them just to rebuild, and even say Jordan Love does have it. This is what, year 4. So you're going to be in a situation where you're paying him a lot of money.
Sorry about that.
And the quarterback baseline for just being an average quarterback is going to be going up more and more and more, to where you're going to be paying him 25, 30 million by the time you're giving him a contract extension just to be maybe an average quarterback. Like, I think if you put a gun to my head right now, I would definitely put even like a Daniel Jones above him. So,
Yeah.
I don't think he's their quarterback of the future.
Well, I'm glad we don't have a gun in your head, because I don't need that. I don't need that bloodshed on my hands. And so I'm happy. I'm happy you don't have it to your head. So that's a good thing. We don't need to see any of that type of.
I'll tell you one thing. This is a rare occasion where me and Keas agree completely. I watched Jordan Love in college, and I saw the athleticism. I didn't get the hype at all. I thought that this might have been a 5th, 6th round quarterback. I saw somebody who was just wildly inaccurate, live arm, but this was not a guy. Now, in all fairness, the games I did watch were blowout losses. But but here's the thing: when you even though you're at Utah State, you don't have talent. I watched them lose. I think it was the Air Force, like 42-10. And when you're supposed to be a first round player, you got to do more. You got to elevate your team, especially against Air Force. No disrespect to Air Force, but when I watched them, this was not a first round talent. It wasn't even close. I don't think I'm with Keas. I think Green Bay is going to kind of fall apart. And that's not really the answer. So, but hey, man, Big Chief Shawn, man, looks like you got your microphone back, man. You want to jump in? What's your take here, man? Sloan Heads is threw a question out for us.
So you're asking about Jordan Love and how is he going to do with the Packers?
Yeah, that's what Sloan Heads. He's sick of the Aaron Rodgers talk.
Well, number one, we have to understand the context of what he means. Is he just tired of them talking of if he will, he won't he, or is he just want him to go all completely?
Well, his take, he's sick of hearing Aaron Rodgers, period. He wants to know what's your take on Jordan Love. Is he for real with Christian Watson?
I am a man that believes in second chances. I am a man that believes if you got the opportunity, you take it. The Aaron Rodgers era of Packers football is over. We have to all accept that right now. As if you're a real Packers fan, you're accepting that right now. Aaron Rodgers could care more or less about Wisconsin than he does his own family. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just serious talk. I know y'all don't want to put faith in Jordan Love, but this is the time to where I do believe Jordan Love will be not that bad. I mean, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for great right now because he hasn't had a time to do anything. That is the gift and the curse of being with somebody who's talented as Aaron Rodgers. You ain't gonna get no time to shine. That's the same reason why Bieniemy had to leave the Chiefs. Is he good or is he not? You're never gonna know under Reed. That is just how it goes, man. I think that Jordan Love, he deserves a shot. I mean, we all thought that. What was that? Who was the quarterback of the Jets at that time? Who had a little nice? What was it? Mike something?
Mike White.
Yeah, Mike White. I mean, everybody didn't think he was great, but look, he had some consistent games. I mean, this is the time where we can't keep depending on dudes of the past. Clearly, if we're seeing from Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, it's a new evolution of quarterbacks. Like we can't depend on the guys of old. And what Rodgers is going to do with the Jets, it's a maybe. It's a shift. I mean, you got a lot of nice first-round picks over there, but do you have the time? Do you even want to put the effort in to being that elite quarterback that's going to take to get the Jets out of that division? Because it's not the toughest division, but it's not a weak one either. So, I mean, to me,
I can argue that AFC East, as of right now, might be the best division. But Luke's right. We got to wait till everything settles. But, yeah, that AFC East right now, oh, boy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is he even ready to take on that competition that much this season? Like, you see how he just was uninvested in the Packers. I don't see him coming in the Jets just ready to go gun ho and win because I don't think he's in them no more. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they should have sat down Rodgers last year and gave Love the opportunity this season.
Yep. Yeah, my love-hate affair came with Aaron Rodgers for different reasons than people think. Obviously, with me being a Lions fan, people think like, oh, he just did us dirty. Well, not quite. We actually did pretty okay against him. But my love-hate came from him. When I watched this one season, I'll never forget this. He led the league in throwaways, and I watched them games closely, and I'm like, there are people open. And he strategically did that to get McCarthy fired. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, oh, he's that type. Okay. And so to me, you know, like I said, he came out of the darkness. I don't know how you come out of the darkness and think that the Jets are the light. But hey, at the end of the day, you know, I'm not wishing him anything well. I want to see him be humbled. I want to see him be made aware that which you thought you knew is which you don't know. And for me, I don't have the respect for a guy who blames everything around him for when things go bad but himself, and takes all the credit when things go well for himself. So, you know, I'm sorry, as we usually say FTP, F the Packers, right? But it's F Aaron Rodgers too for me. So I'm just saying.
I love it, man. I love it. Gooch. Man, so let's ask this. I took the question off here, man. But what's your take, man? Jordan Love with the Packers, man. Is this going to work?
Look, the Packers were a 9-win team with Aaron Rodgers. They're probably 7, 8, 9-win team with Jordan Love. For somebody that was compared to Patrick Mahomes when he was first drafted, I mean, look, he's had a couple games. Mahomes had one his rookie year, and I don't see anything comparable. So as far as getting the $60 million off the books, I think it's a win for the Packers. But I also think it's a win for the Jets because whether they win the division, Super Bowl contenders, or whatever, they're relevant. Yeah, and they will be for the next couple years as long as he's there. And whether you want to believe it or not, relevancy puts butts in the seats and money in the coffers. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't have to be great. He doesn't even have to be half of what he was for people to want to come see it. Now, on the flip side of that, and I with respect to Luke G's FAR,
I just said it's a vicious.
I love it, man.
I really think that this is where this is the dividing line on his legacy. Now, if he's as competitive, which most NFL players are all alpha males, like his legacy starts here. If the Jets tank, he's not going to be remembered for being, let's face it, probably, I mean, you take out Tom Brady, he was second string to Tom Brady, even though he was the best thrower of the football. He's probably the best quarterback talent we had seen. And he always had been second fiddle to Stafford's arm or Brady's winning or Manning's consistency in the regular season. I think if he wants his legacy to be where he's considered one of the all-time, I mean, you know, obviously he's going to go into the Hall. But when you talk about Mount Rushmore, nobody says Aaron Rodgers. And so
you're right about that. You're completely correct.
I think for him, this is where the rubber meets the road.
You know I'm trying to think of the name of that basketball player who in the regular season.
Now, I'm sorry, Lions fan for jumping off onto the Aaron Rodgers, but I think Jordan Love is going to need a couple years, even though he's had a couple. He hasn't played enough games. They haven't given him enough snaps. I think they're going to be 7, 8, or 9 wins, and then next year they might be better.
Because it's not fair to sit here and give Jordan Love an evaluation when they never was going to play him. I mean, y'all remember just a couple of years ago, they were thinking about trading him.
Yeah, they were.
So
They were thinking about getting
they
rid
were
of him.
literally about getting rid of him. So why would I be invested in a team that don't feel like they want me? I think getting rid of Rodgers, like Gooch said, is saving $60 million. So that's a better draft for you. Number one, free agency could be like off the chain for you. Number two, and this is actually time for Jordan Love to actually sit down and read a playbook. You know, we all love Patrick Mahomes. Well, at least I do. You know what I'm saying? We all love Patrick Mahomes, and we all know, ain't that right, Keys? He knows. And they all thought he needed development, and in the way he did that year he sat, it was important. I think watching Rodgers fail, this is going to give Love the opportunity to know this is my team to either have or not, because they're going to go in the draft and maybe go quarterback. They just to piss Love off, or maybe get a veteran. I feel that 100%. I know they're going to ride with Love, but you better guarantee they're going to try to find themselves a little quarterback veteran to help out in the team. You better believe it.
Well, they got to do something, because they have till May 1st to pick up his 5th-year option.
Yeah.
And it's about a $20 million decision. So is he $20 million good for 2024 is a big question. So if I were them, I would definitely be looking for that quarterback in this draft.
You said $20 million?
$20 million is what his 5th-year option will be next year. They got to pick it up. They got not even 2 months to decide whether they're going to pick it up or not.
Well, I think it's just going to be a matter of I'm kind of expecting it to happen next week. I think he'll be with the Jets next week. That's kind of my prediction. But let's move on from Aaron Rodgers here. I want to start with Luke G here. Hey, Luke, now here's the deal. Originally, I wanted to do a mock draft, but free agency just exploded. There were so many moves. I wanted to talk about it. So I felt bad, because I was like, hey, guys, look, I know I said I want to do a mock draft. I want to talk about free agency. You guys on board. Luckily, you guys still agreed to come on the show. Luke, what is the best free agent acquisition, or you can give me your favorite?
You know, in terms of just adding a talent to me, and I'm going to stay away from my team on this one, just for the purpose. I don't want nobody trying to say I'm being a homer about it. But to me, the acquisition that I don't think people are talking about is Miles Sanders to the Panthers. I am horrified by this idea, because you got to remember, last year I got to watch a 241-yard first half against the Detroit Lions.
Oh God, I almost forgot that game.
And so now you add Miles Sanders to the system of running backs, and on top of that, Frank Reich. Like, Frank Reich loves to run the ball, and he just added another piece to run that ball with. I think that's the most underrated, talked about move that I'm like, nobody sees this. Like, are we not paying attention? That right there to me is the move that I'm just like, well, all right. Like, you know, this is a name that people are not going to talk about, but they will learn quickly. And at the end of the day, that move is going to pay out big for them. I really do believe that.
I love Miles Sanders. I remember he took over at Penn State for Saquon Barkley, and I've always thought that he was really good. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one, man. By the way, Luke ain't being a homer. He don't. I don't want to take away, but I was on Luke's show, and this is what Luke, you getting hate from your Lions fan base.
Listen. All I did was ask questions. I think every person has a duty to ask themselves questions, right? Like, for example, I believe that the team at the Kansas City Chiefs got richer by bringing in Drew Tranquill, right? He's a guy that the Lions should have targeted. Instead, we get Alex
You're
Anzalone.
Actually right. The Lions should have targeted.
But we get Alex Anzalone. Why would I be excited about this? Who? Like, just listen. Just to be for the record, right? I'm pretty sure that every person on the panel loves a different team. Am I right? Y'all all love, like, either the Chiefs. None of y'all like the Lions, right? Okay.
Right.
On the panel, who here is worried about Alex Anzalone? If you even heard of him.
Why you gotta put it like that?
I'm just saying.
Luke G, I'm gonna be honest. When it happened, I was like, who?
Hey, I'm gonna jump on this too. I'm gonna let Lions fans know Cameron Sutton's not a number one corner, folks.
He's
Just to
not.
let you know right now. He's not. He's good. He's a good player. He's a good
He's
acquisition.
not. Listen, I've given a lot of evidence to everything that I said, and people think I just hate our free agency. I don't hate our free agency. I asked a question: how does our free agency make us better? That's all I asked. And the reality is nobody is sitting up there going, "Ooh, I don't want to play Cam Sutton." Nobody is saying that. Nobody is out there feeling threatened by them. Nobody's walking out being like, Will Harris, he's a killer. Nobody's talking about like Emmanuel Mosley, you don't want no parts of that. Nobody is saying that. and for you to bring back all these players to a team that had a top 5, if not top 3 worst defense, as if though you didn't have that, spare me. I'm telling you right now, the people on the panel are not Lions fans. They're not impressed. Those names don't ring a bell. It don't set off an alarm. It don't break a glass. They like, it's not even an emergency. And the worst part is the Lions play the Chiefs this year, which we better pray is earlier in the year, because Lord forbid is in the later end of the year, and then you're gonna find out how much important Sutton is. I'm just making the point that at the end of the day,
you're 100%.
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, let's not act like we killing
I've
them.
heard upset, but this is just like a whole
No,
other level of
it's
upset.
funny because I actually like the Sutton pickup, but I know a lot about Sutton, but I never looked at Sutton and said,
As a
"Hey,
threat.
this is Jalen Ramsey 2.0." I never said
Right?
that.
Nobody
Yeah.
ever said that.
I never said that.
Nobody said that. But and then again, like my man Minnie says, he said, Luke, you're talking about names. No, I'm not. I'm telling you what my eyes saw. These people ain't jumping off the screen. They're not. Nobody did. I had a guy literally tell me he's a top 23 to 25 player at cornerback. I'm thinking to myself, on what planet was 23 or 25 ever great? Like that, what the hell we talking about here?
I don't know if he's that high.
I'm just saying, but I'm like Ricky Bobby. I'm like Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you last. I'm
out of that
sorry.
list to put him in it.
So, all right, I'm gonna ask Gooch here. Now, Gooch, you can't use Cameron Sutton, but who is the best or your favorite free agent acquisition so far?
I have 2.
All right.
And I have 2 for 2 totally different reasons. I think a sneaky good pickup was Waller by the Giants.
That was a good pickup if he's healthy.
And I think because with Dayball, he's going to get a lot of usage, and there's going to be a lot of plays for him, which is going to help Daniel Jones. Obviously, he's not going to hit receivers and such like that. But hang on a second.
All right. So we got there. You know, that's actually good.
Hang on.
All right.
So
we got Darren Waller.
So I think Daniel Jones is gonna have to earn his $35 million. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a sneaky good pickup. The other one, and I'm about to set everybody off, including Keys.
Uh-oh.
I think the Cincinnati Bengals picking up the OBJ at left tackle was a win-win for everybody involved. One, because everybody's looking at the contract and they're like, oh, the Chiefs could have paid that. Well, the Chiefs offered him that and longer term. So it's a win-win for the Chiefs because you've got somebody who's not as athletic to handle speed rushers off your team. You give him to the Bengals, who, I mean, we're going to have speed rushers, but 2, it was a win for Orlando because, yeah, he signed a 4-year deal instead of the 6-year 139 with the Chiefs, but he's going to be a free agent again at 29, which means he's going to get an opportunity to get another big check.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which for his part is smart. So people that's like, oh, it was only $16 million a year. He didn't break the bank like he wanted. Yeah, okay, but he's smart enough to know that when he hits 30, he's not Trent Williams. So if he hits 29 as a free agent again, and he's even performing half as good, even though McKinnon was probably the best left tackle in the game, if he plays half as good, he's going to get another huge payday. So it gets the Chiefs off the hook. He gets his bag. I think it was a win-win, and I think it was a really great pickup for the Bengals, especially when we have to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, and good chance we will have to play him in the playoffs. I mean, he played them last 2 years in the AFC Championship game. I did not expect that. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, Big Chief Shawn, your best or favorite free agent pickup?
Best. I mean, Ramsey going to Miami is altering. I don't think it's humongous. I'm still upset about Colin Saunders.
I understand. I understand.
I kind of want to cry a little. Like,
It's actually funny.
Like,
Luke G talked about him going to Detroit.
I just think I'm so kind of just focused on that. I was really hoping we would keep him. And I mean, the Saints ain't even going to benefit using him because they don't benefit using anybody. So that kind of hurt. I mean, it's the truth, man. All that talent wasted. All that talent wasted. He's going to sit there with Tyrann Mathieu, Sorensen, and all his other teammates and just cry about times of days past.
So I spotlighted him as a player that the Lions should add to their team, and I thought him with Aleem McNeil would have been a very good, big, athletic up front. And basically, it was shot down faster than a plane in war.
I didn't get why people didn't like that. They obviously didn't know who he was. He was a player I didn't want to see leave.
Yeah,
he was a player I didn't want to see leave.
It hurt me a lot because I was just thinking myself, defense is finally set. We finally got a good set team, and it's just like, oh, he's gone. Like, just.
Well, let me ask you this, Big Chief Shawn. I'm gonna throw a curveball at you here. What I mean, look what the Saints got now. I mean, they got Derek Carr, they got Saunders. I mean, don't you think that maybe the Saints kind of that team could be low key dangerous? I mean, nobody else in that division it really stands out. Now Brady's gone.
I mean, I get what you're saying especially when they picked up Baker Mayfield, which my mind's still blown off that. I don't even know what they were thinking of that. But unfortunately, they don't have the offense that will dominate throughout the NFC. They just don't. They got a lot of good veteran players on defense, and I'll give them that, and you got to applaud that. But there ain't going to Kamara, if Kamara will even be out by the time the season happens.
That's going to be a really interesting story.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's a real interesting story.
Just unfortunately, I just don't see the Saints offense getting together collectively enough to actually become a threat. So, I mean, yeah, they got some good signings, but I don't think they're going to be able to mix all those ingredients together perfectly to have a perfect taste. I just don't see it. It's just too much of a cavalcade of people, and the coaching's just off. It's like everything's off about the Saints right now. It's just,
all right. Like I said, I threw a curveball at you.
I would say give them like another season or two, and then they'll be right back in peak condition because they don't even have a quarterback for real. I mean, who's the guy?
Well, I like Derek Carr.
Yeah, I mean, Derek Carr with the Big Chief Shawn does not like Derek Carr.
I mean, I like Jimmy Garoppolo too.
Listen, you gotta understand. You got a coach over there who's a little bit innovative, right? He's found a way to make things happen for Taysom Hill, and now you got a guy who can do what Taysom Hill do, but throw it. That's a bit of a danger, in my opinion. Like I feel like
that's the division though. That NFC South is terrible.
I mean, yeah. Listen, I like the Buccaneers too. So I'm a Lions, Bucks, and Seahawks fan. I know. Don't ask me different reasons. Grew up kind of weird. Okay. The Buccaneers, I have completely just written off. I said, as long as Todd Bowles is there, there's nothing to look at. There's nothing to look at. I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy, but I don't know how you have all that talent and you don't know how to call plays that gets you at least a first down. Like it's like it could be like 3rd and 5, and instead of him calling something that's sensible enough to get him over the line of scrimmage, he's calling like comeback routes all underneath the line of scrimmage. That's not receivers doing that. That's not Tom Brady telling his receivers to do that. That's the coach. Todd Bowles ain't done nothing with the Jets. He ain't doing nothing with the Bucks, and I think the Bucks made a mistake keeping him. We lost Bruce Arians because of Tom Brady, and we lost Bruce Arians as a head coach because they believed in Todd Bowles. No. And then the Panthers, I'm telling you, Frank Reich is the one who he's gonna be a difference maker for the Panthers. In my opinion, the Falcons, I feel like they owner went to sleep and was like, you know what? As long as Home Depot making money, I'm good. You know, and obviously you look at the Saints, and I think David Carr can do something special. So I'm just saying.
I'm glad y'all got faith in him more than me because his body of work just don't scream leader. I mean, it screams quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but you know, if you go for the job, I guess you'll get hired for it. But he don't scream leader to me. He don't scream 2 minutes left, down by 10. Need to make some stuff happen, type of a guy.
All right, that's a fair take, man.
I mean, you had a pretty dope running back in Jacobs, and then you had Devontae Adams, and somehow you didn't make that work. Like, I just find that odd to me. Even if you didn't have top tier receivers, make them top tier. If you're that guy, be that guy that everybody will be like, yeah, if I'm with him, there's a shot. Like if you're with Allen right now on the Bills, it don't matter who you are, relevant or not, you're going to get a shot. He's going to give you opportunity. He's going to give you, there's going to be that third down. It's like, it's on you, man. You're going to have to step up. Juju ain't shut the hell up since he's won a Super Bowl ring. You know what I mean?
But he had McDaniels though.
This is funny, man. He's a damn good head coach. We like Greek. That's just
so shout out to the questionable. Shout out to the questionable podcast, right? So this is a quote that comes from Miko, right? Miko's on questionable podcast, and Miko was using an analogy to describe Aiden Hutchinson, and he said Aiden Hutchinson is like plain Greek yogurt, and he's like,
oh, is that where he got that from?
Yeah, and he's like Aiden Hutchinson by himself is not much, right? Like plain Greek yogurt by itself is disgusting. It tastes like nothing but chalk, right? But if you put fruit in it, if you add honey, sugar, you put something with it, it actually tastes pretty damn good. It's a very good marinade for your chicken, right? So what I'm saying is, and this is what Miko was trying to make the point of, you can have an Aiden Hutchinson, but you better get some fruit and some honey to add to it. And that's what he's saying about Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is a defensive coordinator. Awesome. He ain't the first one to be good as a coordinator. But as a head coach, he's terrible. He's terrible.
He's terrible.
I'm just saying.
No, you're right. I thought he got a bad deal with the Jets, but after watching him last year, and then keep in mind they had some offensive line injuries and everything. But I'm kind of with you. Keys, man, finishing with you. Your best or favorite free agent acquisition?
You know, I probably was going to shock you guys, and then Gooch said what he said, because I was originally going to say Orlando Brown, even though I hate him as a Chiefs offensive lineman. I really liked the move for the Bengals, given how quickly Joe Burrow gets the ball out, and Joe Burrow takes sacks on third down anyway. So, you know, it's not like they wouldn't be used to that part of it. And they have a really creative, smart offensive line coach there in Cincinnati who tinkers with things, you know, whether it's gap between the linemen, you know, like all things alignment there. So, you know, I like that move for them, but since Gooch threw that out there, I'll pivot here. And I'll say Javon Hargrave simply because, one, the 49ers front gets richer, and it also takes a shot at the team that beat them in the playoffs. So I'll go with Javon Hargrave for this one.
You know, it's funny. As much as we disagree with each other, that was mine. And you got the exact two reasons that I had. Was that you take one away from Philly, but you also add to a really good defensive line in San Francisco. That's a real good one here. So let me see. I'm going to ask one more here. Gooch, what team got better in free agency?
The damn Lions, but okay.
Well, they got the number one corner now. They got.
Oh yeah, you're right. My bad.
They got.
Well, since I can't pick the Lions, you know what? This is probably. I'm going to be the homer here, I think. And it's tough for me. That's actually tough because I really think a lot of teams actually got better. This is going to shock a lot of people, but I think, and maybe it's just because it's my home team and I've seen all the transactions, I've seen all the moves made and not made. But if you want me to be completely honest, I think the Super Bowl champs got better, and a lot of it is addition by subtraction. I mean, for the simple fact that Thornhill's gone, he signed a $21 million deal with the Browns, but he hadn't been right since his first year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he played well, but he didn't play well enough in my mind to keep him around. Then we basically are going to lose Darius Harris, but we got we were just talking about him. Tranquil, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Brian Cook is going to step in there, which he's young and he's only going to get better because he's a second-year player. You still got Bolton and Gay. You re-signed Tershawn Wharton. You brought in Amenahue from San Francisco to go with Chris Jones.
Really good signing.
And Karlaftis. So I think your defense, while still staying young, has gotten better. And although people are going to look at the offensive side of the ball and they're going to go, oh, you lost OBJ and you lost Juju. Juju's on a 40-year-old knee.
Yeah.
That it took a miracle to get him to play in the Super Bowl. And for all intents and purposes, another reason why it's a win for the Chiefs, right now your quarterback is 27 years old. And he saved Orlando Brown from getting a lot of sacks on his ledger by just being able to move around in the pocket and escape. Now, you don't need that Trent Williams, really right now, that Trent Williams type one-on-one only left tackle until Mahomes gets into his 30s, when the movement starts to slow a little bit and his brain becomes, obviously he's smart, but when it becomes more brain than movement, then you're going to need that guy that's going to be able to protect his left side or his blind side. And in my opinion, with OBJ gone, even if you don't like the kid from Jacksonville, even if you don't like his signing, you're taking a right tackle who allowed really 2.5% of pressures over 18 games.
Well, he's a really good right tackle.
The thing is that, okay, so Brown was a right tackle. You brought him here. He was serviceable. This kid's a lot more athletic than Brown. Plus, you have to remember that our head coach, besides being an offensive genius, is an offensive lineman. And Heck is probably the premier offensive line coach in the game. So if they say we can turn this guy into a left tackle, now you've got Niang that can kind of fill in. You can get, in my opinion, my draft crush for the O-line, Tyler Steen, in the draft and put him at right tackle. You know what I'm saying? It's, in my opinion, they got better.
By the way, let's throw this out there. Gooch is a big Bama fan, so all right. So the Chiefs, all right, big Chief Shawn, man. I'm just going to go in order here, man. What team got better in free agency, man?
What team got better? Well, I'm gonna
see now. I have to make him think because he can't say the Chiefs now.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Gooch. Thanks a lot, man. I was going to say some good stuff about us. You took everything, but y'all know me, and most times I jump out there in the water because I see things, and I'm gonna probably have to give it to Miami. I think Miami got better. Tua isn't on my top 10 list. I don't care what nobody says. I know a lot of people are on the Tua boat. I'm not on it. Never have been, probably never will be. He doesn't show me enough. But they did get Mike White. Something tells me he's going to be perfect there. And with the same kind of roster they have with Freeney, they're boosted up their defense a little bit. it might be the little oomph they needed to actually be a top tier, because they're already a B team. Let's be honest, y'all. They were a B team. They made it to the playoffs. They were pretty close of making it to that second round to where we probably would have had to play them. So I would have to say it's Miami. I think Miami's going to actually improve next year. Are they going to beat us in the AFC Championship or something like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. But I think Miami has gotten better. I think they focused on defense this offseason so far, and I think that's what they're going to go for in the draft. Because offensively, they already got Mozart, they got Tyreek, they got Waddle, they got the offense. It's set. It's defense is where they were lacking. That's why they could win, not lock down any real good games. So I think them doing the Ramsey thing, and they barely paid for him, even though I know it's Ramsey, it's not the prime Ramsey that everybody remembered, the speedster that was dumb enough to talk about Tyreek Hill about being a returner or whatever. But he's still pretty solid. I mean, he's still a good player. I think they improved right in the right spots in the right areas to actually win the division this next season.
Really? You got Dolphins winning that AFC.
I got the Dolphins winning the division.
All right. I like that, man. I like
you.
it.
You mean to tell me you don't think it's the great Aaron Rodgers Jets? Come on, man. It's Aaron freaking Rodgers. He's so amazing.
Isn't he? I shouldn't even doubt it. A man who makes people discount and double check.
You know what's weird? If you go to Booksmake, I heard this. I actually didn't check it myself, but right now the Patriots are the team that's going to finish dead last in that division.
Oh yes, Belichick.
That's kind of dangerous. I mean, they've made some low key acquisitions, but that's interesting here. Big Chief Shawn says, bet your life savings on the Dolphins to win the East.
I mean, the Patriots picked up Juju. That tells you right there they're not ready. And they paid him.
Luke was just talking about this on this show. If you're a team, if whoever your team is, when you sign that guy, he's a good player. But when a player leaves your team, he all of a sudden he's a bad player.
Yeah. So they leave. Everybody
actually paid him a contract deal. I thought they was going to pay him like a 1 year deal. They actually paid him what is that, $33 million?
He got a good deal. He got a good deal with the Patriots.
It might be time for Bill Belichick to retire from head coaching.
I guarantee he's retiring after next season. I'm calling it.
Really? All right. So we got Bill Belichick is gone. Bet you could actually bet on this here. And all right, Keas.
He's gone next season.
What? All right. I love that, man. I love that. I'm gonna make a short. I put the timestamp on it, and I got that marked down.
That Miami's winning the division, and Belichick is retiring after next season.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. You heard it from.
He's not going to take too much more disappointment.
I want to let you know. I had Big Chief Shawn on, and I laughed at him because he came on my shows last year, and he goes, "OBJ is going to be a Ram. You watch." And I said, "No, it's not going to happen." And then 2 days later, he was Ram. I remember that prediction.
Everybody, because everybody looked at me weird. They like the Rams. I don't see it. I'm like, dude, he's a guy who likes to play. He likes to go somewhere.
You were right. I remember
that's why he's not coming here. He's not going to come to Kansas City.
No, he's not coming to Kansas City.
He's not. He's going to go somewhere like Dallas.
All right. So, hey, Keas, so you're up next year. What team?
Hang on.
Oh no! Come on, what we got? You cut Keas off.
Did you just say OBJ was going to Dallas? That door's closed, bro. That door's closed. You know who's going to do that? Let me tell you what's going to happen.
All right,
in the next coming week or so, Veach is going to realize that if he can't get Richardson in the draft, he's going to have to turn around and pay OBJ for 1 year, and then send that 4th round and 6th round pick to the Cardinals for D-Hop.
No. You're shooting for the Gooch.
That's what's going to happen.
I know you can jump like Jordan, but you're reading for the stars, brother.
Now hear me out. I
know you read the story of Icarus.
Unless
you're going to that
unless the Lions, and I'm because they're right now linked to DJ Chark. Unless Veach goes out and goes ahead and gets him, he's going to realize that Justin Ross right now is a myth. John Ross is just a straight line runner. Sky Moore is still learning. I mean, are you really going to go into the season with MVS as your number one? Because Kadarius Toney, I mean, he hasn't been healthy at all, ever. So you're going to have to make some moves because MVS can't be your number one. He's a number three.
That's an interesting take. So you got Hopkins. You're on board Hopkins coming to Kansas City then?
No. I think he has great hands, and I think he's also now probably a number two or number three. But I think at this point, like, I think they weren't expecting, like, they lowballed Juju because they figured he would come back. And Juju is probably, you'd rather have that guy back that's been in your system. But now, since the wide receiver market is starting to dry up, he's not going to pay money for some of those other guys that, Mahomes is great, but he's,
That's kind of an interesting take here. All right, Keys, free agent, or I'm sorry here.
Gooch, you a fool, man.
What team got better in free agency? What team improved the most here?
I'm glad you said the most, because I'm going to say a few teams got better at least. And, I'm going to disagree with Shawn here, because I actually like the Patriots going out and getting Juju and then Mike Gesicki. I think those two moves really help out Mac Jones. Man, it's hard again, and to look at everything the Panthers have done. They made a lot of fantastic moves so far.
They did,
but you don't know who the quarterback. You don't have that guy yet. Man, it's hard to say who's the best, but I think between the Panthers, like I said, I like the moves that the Patriots made. I've really liked the moves that the Chiefs have made. I might really surprise people again on this one, and I might go out and say the Broncos. I think Sean Payton's going out and getting his.
He had to lean up. He leaned up on you, Keys. He was like, "Oh no, he didn't."
Let me turn up this volume, because
hang on.
This can't be Keys
and
everything invasion of the body snatchers.
Was that my
right now?
Was that
Gooch,
my partner?
You gotta say
saying?
Keys. He think he's in trouble.
Was that my
we didn't talk about that, but the Broncos made some really good free agent moves. I have to give them some credit.
Sean Payton's going out and he's getting his guys.
Yeah,
so.
they have to.
Like they didn't have no draft picks. This is their draft. they have mortgaged their whole draft for Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. So you better go out and spend money, because you're not going to be up there to get anything. They have
you
to.
ready to go to Patreon and get some donations too while you at it.
I mean, I get what they did. It just they had to. That's all I'm saying. Like you had to make this free agency count. But I think Sean Payton should have them ready to go. But I had to laugh because Sean had to lean up like, what the hell did he just say?
you can't say anything good about an AFC West team.
No, it's not even that. It's just I'm looking at this roster, and I don't see. I mean, Mike McGlinley, okay, you did good. That was smart move. You needed protection because Russ needs to lose like 80 pounds, number one. I mean, first of all, like, the Broncos, man, I thought you was going to say that like an intriguing team like the 49ers.
I like that's the whole reason why we bring multiple people here. You get your multiple opinions.
I'm 2 for 2 with the shock. I get it. I mentioned Orlando, and I said
you were going for shock value.
I said the Broncos, but you know what?
You did have some shock.
I'm shocked.
As Chiefs fans, we like to laugh about Russ. We've all been there. But, I think the reality is with two guys that had no business, and no disrespect to their interim coach there, they played the Chiefs really tough both times. And Russ looked close to the guy that they thought they were getting when they made that trade and gave him that extension. So for me, when you take those two performances against our team with Nathaniel Hackett, who had no business being a head coach, and then the guy that was brought in to help him with being a head coach, then becoming the interim head coach, and them almost beating us in each of those two games, then you take a guy like Sean Payton, who's, one of the top echelon head coaches. I don't think he comes back and goes to that team without thinking that he can make an offense around Russ that actually cooks something that's somewhat edible. So you take his moves. These are his moves. And to me, I'm looking at the moves that he's making, and I think he's making a team that's going to be pretty good.
Let me follow up here. I mean, keep in mind, we got March. A lot of things can happen, but since you got Denver as the team that got the best during this free agency period, and that's a great pick, by the way. How good are the Broncos? Like, are they going to be neck and neck with the Chiefs, or are they going to be a wild card team, or do we still have to wait?
You got to wait. You got to see when everybody play, because guess what? If you give the Broncos an easy schedule early on and the Broncos get off to a fast start, that can be a huge problem, right? But
Chargers.
But I'm saying if they get a fast start, it is what it is that they get that fast start. But let's see, we flip that, right? Let's say they get just as much of a tough schedule as Kansas City. I can see, us starting to have to look at it and say, is Sean Payton enough to get them over the hump? So it depends on that schedule for me personally. I think they made some moves, but one thing I know about bringing in new people is y'all have to learn each other. It's no different than when you get a new girlfriend. You need to learn some things about her, because she's probably got a few things different from the old one. The old one probably rubbed your feet. This one probably set your feet on fire. So you never know. You know what I mean? So you gotta see how it all gels out. That's all I'm saying.
He made that all nonchalant. One might set your feet on fire. You don't know, bro.
Your last girl, Roger. So Keys don't get a divorce is what
that's right.
Telling you, man.
It's cheaper to keep her. Don't let nobody do different.
Don't you leave her.
So Keys, man, how good are the Broncos going to be, man?
Oh, man. That's a great question.
I'm sorry, man. I threw a curve at you.
No, because that's the perfect question.
Yeah, we got a lot of offseason
I respect Keys' decision on saying the Broncos, because, every team that doesn't look great could end up being great next year. I get that, but for him to say that, you really have to convince me of something. And not just Russ and Sean Payton. Those two aren't enough. Like they I know he's a genius, and Russ at prime could be a devastating threat to anybody. I get that. Your body of work was saying that he played us pretty good. Well, we could say that about the Houston Texans too, and the Colts. Don't mean that they better. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just weird.
Those are
now,
one
like I said, I looked at the free
so
agency. Some of the things they did pick up were some nice pickups. I'm just very shocked by it. Like I'm not even saying it's a bad pick, because he could be right. You know what I mean? I just don't want that Charger syndrome of everybody seeing something that people want to see, but it's not there yet.
I was down in Denver for the very
if that's what he might be
they
right,
were convinced that they had a
Super
Bowl team. Those Broncos fans last summer thought that they had a Super Bowl team.
Man,
they did.
Seriously, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they got Russ. They're like, oh, it's our year. So, but so Key. I mean, it's a tough question, Keys, man. But are they going to be? Are they the number one threat to Kansas City?
A threat to Kansas City?
Yeah,
man. This is hard because I would say they have the second best head coach in the division.
A threat.
Yeah,
third best quarterback in the division.
Who's the Chargers head coach?
Brandon Staley.
Yeah, Staley is a risk taker.
Yeah, I feel like the Chiefs. I feel like the Chiefs' biggest threat is the Chargers.
I don't know, man. I think I don't know. Keys is kind of swaying me, because it's like they keep saying the Chargers every year, and they have this loaded up team, and it just don't go nowhere. Like
because that loaded up team always have key players hurt every freaking year. If Mike Williams not down, Keenan Allen is down. If Keenan Allen not down, Austin Eckler's down. If Austin Eckler not down, Derwin James is down.
That your health and wellness division of your team sucks ass.
they got that. Yeah, they got their doctor poking holes in. Oh God, what's the guy's name, man?
You need to fire him. The one thing
he's still the trainer. He's still the head trainer. I forgot the guy's name. Tyrod Taylor. He's poking holes in Tyrod Taylor's lungs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's still the trainer.
the thing that makes the Chiefs relevant every season.
No, they got rid of him.
I don't think so. He was the trainer this last year.
Yeah, they got rid of him over the
they
start of
did?
the offseason because I was like, well, at least maybe they'll be able to keep their guys healthy now.
No. Oh boy,
well, that's what I'm saying. That's the one thing that the Chiefs pride on. We keep our players healthy. We have a good.
We try.
Health of it. I forget what the technical name is. Y'all know it. I'm trying to think of it. On tip of my tongue. But we keep our guys healthy and strong. Even with the Mahomes thing, look how quick he healed. You have to take care of your players, and I feel like if the Chargers would take care of their players better, they wouldn't have these problems.
That guy from the Chargers shouldn't have a problem getting another job, like working at Guantanamo Bay or something.
He said he get the perfect job waiting on him. He's a torture.
I know how to make him talk.
All right, so hey, Luke, what team got best? I mean, I know it's early and everything. What team got the best? Or what team improved the most? I'm sorry. What team improved the most in free agency so far?
Honestly, I still think it's too early to say. I think when you look at it, we expect for these players to come in and help their teams improve in some form or fashion, but there's no telling who's going to make it out of training camp. There's no telling who's going to make it to the final 53. And to just look at free agency before I even had a chance to look at the draft, it seems like, again, it seems real premature, right? It's just.
Free agency is only 5 days old. So I mean, or technically 3.
Yeah, but the thing is this, right? So let's say, for example, right, a lot of these people who got signed not gonna make the 53-man roster. They just got deals to come in and prove it, right? So like for example, we can tell based on the deal that the Chiefs gave Tranquil, he's expected to be a part of the thing. But let's say he's expected to be a part of it, and he ends up getting hurt in training camp. Did they really improve, or did they just get a hurt player?
No, yeah, you're right. It's actually funny. I'm drawing a complete blank on the kid's name. I actually think it may be a really big signing too. The kid we got from Tampa Bay, the safety, he's going to replace Tranquil. Chiefs like using 3 wide receivers.
So, safety?
Yeah.
Mike Edwards, is that his name?
Yeah, I think it was Mike Edwards. I think that's a low key. That he may have a bigger impact than Tranquil. Because he's going to be the free safety, and then we're going to have Cook play strong safety.
I just love the fact that when you look at Kansas City spending, they spent money on key areas that they needed to improve, and that's what
was the best GM in the business right now. 100%.
Nobody
can convince me otherwise.
No, I'm just saying. But when you look at their moves, it's not like there's a whole lot of like we just went crazy. No, they added them at very specific positions that they thought would improve their team, and so but I can't say that who's improved the most because I don't know. I mean, some people may say that Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Raiders is a move, but look, they signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They signed 14 free agents this year, completely revamped their entire damn roster. And guess what? Most of them people are hurt. They mostly hurt. I hate to say it, but they're mostly hurt players, and so it's not much you can talk about with that.
No, you're correct.
Yeah, so it's just I look for those teams who made sound decisions that spent the money, but it didn't go so crazy to where like I spent the money and got a whole lot of people in volume. I got quality players versus quantity, so it's too early for me.
All right, and
hang on,
jump on in, man.
Did I hear someone even invoke the name of the Raiders? And they could have gotten better.
Well, that's actually an interesting move is because I have no idea if they got better with Jimmy G or not. That's actually an interesting topic.
I'm going to answer that and say no. You let go of a former MVP candidate who dragged your franchise from the recesses of the crap that they had going on and worked your way into the playoffs. The guy who he has a better arm than Garoppolo. He's a better leader than Garoppolo. And you basically signed his, even though they're the same age, you signed a more injured version of him.
True.
There's nothing smart about that play. I mean, if you're going to say, okay, and I'm just going to throw it out there, if you're going to say, okay, he's our stopgap until we draft Anthony Richardson at 7, then I might be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And also, too, just to speak on Carolina, Carolina will be the most improved if C.J. Stroud is their pick at number 1 and they don't trade out.
That's an interesting take. I'm actually kind of curious, and I do want to do a draft because that's the guy I got going to Carolina is C.J. Stroud.
Now, I
was not
initially
surprised because you're a Bama guy. I thought you were going to take Young.
I initially had Will Levis going to Carolina before they took the number 1. And I like Bryce Young, and in Saban I trust when it comes to receivers and defenses. But even he can like, look, I've already seen a 5'10" quarterback. He plays in Arizona. You know what I'm saying? And he's not going to be able to see over his linemen. They're 6'3", 6'4". He's going to be running around from the beginning, and sweet Jesus, he's not going to play at 204, 206, or whatever he weighed at the combine. He's going to probably play at 190. So he's one good Bosa hit away from missing a few.
Well, I'm glad you touched base on that because I think he was listed at like 195 by Alabama. So if he's listed at 195, you know he's probably closer to 180. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you this right now. I watch a lot of Bryce Young, and I know he was at the combine. He never weighed over 200 pounds in his life before that combine. And he probably did that trick. I don't know if you've ever seen that America's Game where they talked about the 98 Vikings and I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. Number 93 talks all the time.
You mean John Randall?
John Randall. So John Randall, they do a weigh-in. So he went down to a hardware store. He brought a chain, and he took the chain on to. He's like, "You're 243 chain." He goes, "Yeah, I really want to make the team." But he brought a chain from the. So yeah, Bryce Young did something like that. He never weighed over 200 pounds. He never played a game over 200 pounds in his life. So yeah, you're 100% correct about that. Hey, listen, this is a good question here. I know not everybody's been doing draft stuff. I release a new mock draft every Tuesday, so this is a good one. And hey, look, I'm gonna start here with Gooch here. Hendon Hooker, if you're not aware, quarterback in Tennessee, tore his ACL. I want to say in October. The rehab looks good. It looks like he will. I think he's going to be able to participate in training camp. I don't think he's going to be 100%. He may or may not play in preseason. I'll get some more information as the season comes to. But this is a great question here. Where would Hendon Hooker get drafted?
Oh, after the ACL?
Yeah, I mean, hey, you got the draft in 6 weeks here. Where is he going?
You guys are going to love this.
All right, let's hear it.
I can't predict the round.
Okay.
It would probably be late. and I see Kyle Shanahan taking him.
Really?
Oh, wow. All right, so you haven't now you are aware that they signed Sam Darnold. I know I don't know the terms of the deal, but they got Darnold. So you think they're going to add Hendon Hooker, Trey Young?
I don't think they fully trust Lance because really? he hasn't even played as much in college as Brock Purdy.
You're right about that. Yeah.
So I don't think they fully trust. I mean, if you just look at how, excited Kittle and the rest of them boys were when Purdy took over, like they already knew, like, this is our guy. Now, obviously, how many 7th round quarterbacks are going to be Tom Brady-esque? You know what I'm saying? Does the elbow do anything? Was it Tommy John? Like, is he going to be back from that? You know what I'm saying? And Shanahan is known for taking projects because he sees something in them that probably outside of, let's see, if you want to name coaches that could take somebody like Hooker and do something with him, Shanahan, Peyton, McVay, Reed, end of list.
They don't pick into the third round. You think he gonna make it all the way into the third round?
I do.
Okay.
All right. That's kind of interesting. Big Chief Shawn, Hendon Hooker.
Where do I think he's going?
You can say where he's going. Wait, floor is yours, brother.
Well, we're gonna go for shock value. I think I'm gonna go for shock value then.
All right.
I think he's more probably either going to the Packers or he's going to the Vikings. They're gonna trade up and try to get.
Let me ask you this here. So the Vikings picked 23rd, if I'm correct here. I'm gonna double check here. I'm pretty sure it's 23rd or 22nd. Do they take him in round 1?
I think they trade up for him. They tried the whole we paid Cousins and every Cousins is, I wouldn't call him a bust, but he's just not what the Vikings need right now. I think they need to step it up a little bit at quarterback.
So Minnesota, you think? Let me ask you this here. Minnesota picks 23rd. I double checked. I was pretty sure about that. At 23, you think that they're going to trade up for Hooker?
I think so.
Oh wow, that would be a big story in the draft.
So.
That would be a very big story.
I think the whole thing with Cousins is a nice dude, nice player, but he's too mid, man. Like he will never have that moment of saving a team. They either have to be extremely up, or that running game's got to be on point, and I think they're getting tired of it.
You know, that Cousins contract's an interesting story. So that that kind of, I'll be honest though, trading up would be a huge story in the draft, but you always have something like this that happens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that there are a lot of teams out there that need quarterbacks that are just quietly not letting it be known, trying to see if they can sneak through and get some quarterbacks, because there is not a lot of quarterbacks getting named out in the draft this year. And maybe they see certain hidden talents that they want. And I think the Vikings are going to make a move, man. They're so close.
I like that. I actually like that. Now
the Vikings last year, they did not get taken seriously at all. We all knew they weren't going to even go nowhere because we just knew they did not have the complete team. I think they're going to trade up to get him and go pure defensive for the rest of the draft pick.
That's kind of interesting. And they do got Brian Flores there as their new defensive coordinator. That's going to be really interesting. Now, Keys, I know you don't.
Before you jump to Keys, now I would say that I would normally, that sounds so intriguing, BCS, and it sounds good, except for the fact that right now, the one thing that just about everybody needs is O-line. And I actually think there's going to be a run on O-line in the first round, except for Levis, Stroud, Bryce Young, and Richardson. I think everything else is going to either be O-line or secondary. That's why I think that Hooker's going to fall. But it is interesting.
It is interesting. It's kind of funny because this is what NFL teams do. You got one guy that says you're going to trade up from 23. You got another guy says he's third round, and this is exactly what NFL teams do. You got big discrepancies here. Now, Keys, I know you don't follow college football that much and follow the draft. I think you might know who Hendon Hooker is, but where do you think a guy like this who's got massive upside, but he's coming off of an injury, where do you think he would go? And do you have a team?
Yeah, it's hard because you're talking about ACL injury and being 25 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
that does
25-year-old rookie coming off of an ACL
25.
injury. Man, that just makes it. I got to get out of what I would do. I think one of the teams that got a veteran quarterback who's a stable quarterback, like, maybe you do say the Raiders there, you can move on from Jimmy at some point. I guess even to that point, though, same with Derek Carr's new home, the Saints. I don't know. I could not take him in the first round based off of those two things. 25 ACL. Yeah, guys come back from ACL injuries, but generally they are athletically down a tier from what they were pre ACL injury. So, but everything that I've read, he's like acing his interviews. He's acing, his whiteboard stuff. Man, to me though, it's just hard with the age and the injury. So, to me, he falls into the second, or maybe to the Chiefs pick, not to the Chiefs, but somebody trading back up.
That's actually exactly where I think he could go is pick number 31. The one thing me and Keys agree with is that the Chiefs could trade up, they could trade down, but they're definitely not picking at 31.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe. And it might not even be us who owns the pick when a team trades up.
Exactly. That's exactly where I got them going would be either 30 or 31 because you got Philly. I'd be shocked if Philly has the 30th pick in the draft. I think that they're a prime candidate. Philly loves to trade down, and if Kansas City has the 31st pick in the draft, I got the draft board pulled up right now. You got a couple teams that are picking in the 30s. You got somebody like Seattle at 37. I said 30s, but Tennessee at 41. I think Indianapolis is going to get their quarterback at 4, but if they do something crazy, they may want to consider it. You have some options there, but yeah, I think that 30 or 31 might be the perfect spot for somebody to trade.
That depends on. I think that depends on how far Carter drops.
Yeah, I mean that's another topic we didn't even touch base on. I was on Luke G's show yesterday, and I yelled at Lions fans. I don't think he's fallen below 5. I think Pete Carroll is just going to say, "Hey, I can make this work," but that's just me. But,
if Pete Carroll takes him, I worry about his career because Pete Carroll is so much of a player's guy, but from everything that you've heard from Sherm and everything like that, like there's no accountability. And if you're at your own pro day and you're 9 pounds heavy and can't get through all your drills, I mean, that's like you skipped the combine or you were at the combine, had to leave, and then your pro day, you look subpar. Like it's going to take the right coach.
I see now that I got to be the voice of reason on this right now. Let me jump in on 2 parts. First part is this. I love what Keys brought up. 25-year-old quarterback, a guy that essentially is a little bit older and got an ACL injury. Now, Keys, I'm pretty sure you look like a very healthy man. That means that you eat pretty well. I think that you buy high-end quality food, right? Which means you've bought a few good canned goods. Is that fair to say?
Canned goods? No, I don't eat anything out of a can.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let me ask you this: Have you ever bought dog food or cat food
out of a bag? Yeah. No,
okay. All right. So let me ask you this: whenever you buy that, do you ever check the expiration date on those bags, or you just grab the bag and then you feed it to your pet?
I always check everything because.
All right. So now, as a person who checks everything, that means that you know one thing that food expires on a certain date, correct?
Right.
Right, but you don't know how long it's been sitting there. Right? And my point I'm trying to make to that is to say that for us to talk about the quarterback's age as a way of saying that, hey, he's kind of older, I don't care about the age. I don't know how long he's been sitting there. What I do know is that over this time, I've noticed that quarterbacks have stayed in the league longer than usual. I noticed that. And on top of that, I noticed that at the end of the day, if you can play, you will play. I watched Ben Roethlisberger go well past his time. I watched Tom Brady go past his time, and I watched so many others go past their time. And I think that the age part of it doesn't come into play. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think you have to look at what are the circumstances. And when you look at the draft, I don't think he makes it to day 3. And it's a reason why. When you go through and you look at it, he has a strong connection with Peyton Manning. Why? Because Peyton Manning played at Tennessee. And he talked to Peyton Manning after every freaking game. Not my words, Peyton Manning's words. Eli Manning's words. He talked to them often. They discussed things often and went back and went over film and tape and talked about a lot of different things. Now, why am I breaking all this up? It could be me reaching, right? I could have a little bit of that fantastic Forrest Stretch Armstrong thing going on, right? A little bit. But my soul tells me that he's getting a chance to go to a team that don't really need him to play just yet, right? And when you look at the coach go out and sign Gardner Minshew, right? So you figure, okay, that tells them they don't have to hurry up and get a quarterback in the first round. Maybe. Because maybe that could be the case. So maybe they don't do it. But then you have to look at, well, where did the coach pick in the second round? Oh, what do you mean? They 35? Yeah, I mean, cool.
That's a good spot.
So if they did say pass on home at 4, they can still take him at 35. But here's the other problem that we run into, right? When I look at Hendon Hooker, again, a guy that you can allow to sit. And if you look at the history, Trey Lance got to sit. Patrick Mahomes got to sit. Aaron Rodgers got to sit. A lot of these guys are getting a chance to sit because people don't mind these things. It's can you play? And now you look at a team who don't have a first round pick in the LA Rams, who are trying to now trade their Super Bowl winning quarterback in Matthew Stafford. And I believe that that's another landing spot. So there's 2, right? Then you have the teams who, per se are doing things that's not making quite a lot of sense, like the Washington football team. I'm not going to call them the Commanders. That name is stupid. I think it's the football team, right? I just think it's a stupid name. You look at that team, and that team itself brings in Jacoby Brissett and then tell everybody that Sam Howell is his starter. Is he? Or is he not? So we already see now that a lot of teams are trying to play this game of acting like they don't want a quarterback. And that tells me that a lot of these teams are willing to sit and wait. I don't think for one moment that he's going to jump and be there in the third round. I don't think he makes it to the Lions pick at 48. If he do, it'll be a blessing in disguise. But that's just that one. Let me go to the next point about Jalen Carter. I've said this many times before. It says, when has it ever been considered a bad thing for your D lineman to be fat? I've never heard this crap in my entire life. He gained 9 pounds, right? Like, you can literally gain 9 pounds of water weight, and it's not that big of a deal. We want our guys to be bigger. All of a sudden, Aaron Donald got everybody thinking that they're going to come in built like strongman competition people. That's not what's happening here. He came in a little overweight. He had a bad pro day, but his tapes say different. He was dealing with some things because people were trying to put things on him that was not necessarily his fault, and he came in with some weight. People generally gain weight when they stressed out, right? People generally do things like that. My only thing is when looking at Jalen Carter, anybody who comes in and have an issue with his pro day, go back, watch the tape. You'll feel better about it, okay? Everybody has a bad day. I'm sure all of you have had some nice, wonderful people at your house and had candles lit and dinner made, and you didn't quite perform up to par. But that person knew what you were in the long haul. So my point is, rather than let's try to focus on these little negatives, let's talk about what the tape do. Let's talk about what the positives are, and let's talk about how when looking at these players, their opportunity is still going to come. The question is who? I don't think if for some reason Jalen Carter gets past all them other teams, the Bears ain't passing on him. I tell you that.
No.
So I know for a fact that's not an issue. And when I look at Hendon Hooker and you look at all these quarterbacks, right? Once you go CJ Stroud, once you go Bryce, AR, he's a full-fledged project. I wouldn't touch him. He's a project, right? Levis, we're going to pray about it. Hendon Hooker is probably the most ready in my opinion. But I'm just making the point that if he's getting picked up, there are a lot of teams who don't mind the injury because, it's not that bad when I don't need you to play this year. And that's why I think when we're looking at it, we should examine it like, hey, it's not as bad as we think it is. It's just a matter of what team is going to look at it and say, hey, I can afford to sit him because there's no hurry for me to get him in a year or two.
Well, you brought up a good point about Indianapolis. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I think it's Scott Ballard's their general manager. I may be wrong on the name, but he was in Kansas City for a very long time. So the Chiefs and the Colts have a good relationship there. And I think a 35 to 31 trade. I mean, that's a trade that could easily happen. Because the draft's held in Kansas City. I had a buddy of mine tell me, the Chiefs have to take a first-round pick. Says who? I could see the Chiefs trading down from 31 to 35 pretty easily.
Yep.
And you got a real good relationship. So, I mean, I could easily see that trade happening. I should touch base on that because I forgot. It was Scott. It's Scott Ballard, Keys. Is that right?
Yes.
Chris Ballard, yeah. He spent a long time in Kansas City before he took over as a GM in Indianapolis. So, yeah.
Hey, let me throw out another name here. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen here, but, you have Lamar on the tag. He's representing himself. So whenever that happens, it's just not a pretty thing because the team is telling you why you're not worth as much, right? It's always better when they're telling the agent that instead of, because then things start to get, it's just impossible for it to not be personal. But assuming no other team signs him and he's back on the tag this year and he wants to move on so he doesn't even sign an extension, or they're just completely off on it, well, you could set him a year behind Lamar.
Yep. See,
so
the options is there.
What's that?
No, I'm saying you're right. The options are definitely there.
I didn't even think about Baltimore.
But they make it 22. So unless they, if they thought the same thing that he'd be there at 31, 22 might be a spot that the Chiefs want to trade up to anyway, because they traded up to what, 21, 20 last year?
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but that's a good point. It's a good point, right? You have to start to look at like yes, we know he's hurt, right? But we've seen hurt players be drafted before. Hell, my team just drafted a hurt receiver. And we had to sit there and wait for him to come in and do nothing. But hey, we did it, right? It's a first for everything, right? And my thing is when you look at a lot of these teams who have their quarterbacks, the Seattle Seahawks can take them and let them sit. There's so many teams that can take him and let him sit that's not panicked and don't need a quarterback to play this year. So, when people say that he's going to be there on day 3, I'm thinking, okay, I highly doubt it, but we'll see. We'll see. I think when you look at his skill set, he is the most ready. And I know a lot of people say that, hey, where was all this talk at a year or two ago? And I'm like, well, a year or two ago, people focused on the right then and right there. But a year or two ago, you had to look at the fact that they were so busy focusing on those big name teams from Alabama and stuff like that. There was no real talk going to the other people.
Well, if you don't know his story, he was a transfer from Virginia Tech. Your guy, if you remember, Joe Milton I say your guy, I know you're not a Wolverines fan. Joe Milton transferred from Michigan to Tennessee. He was going to be the starter. And then what happened is you got Hooker, who transferred from Virginia Tech. He wasn't even the starter going into spring ball. He just beat out Milton. Milton's an interesting prospect, by the way. I would love for the Chiefs to take him like in the 7th round and have him play tight end. But that's kind of a Chiefs thing where we like players that are former quarterbacks to play other positions.
And if it works, what's wrong with it?
I seriously, you pay attention to name Joe Milton. Some team's going to draft this guy in the 7th round, and they're going to say, listen, you're 6'5", you're 250, you can run. Give up this dream of playing quarterback. You couldn't even start at college. Play tight end and make a lot of money. And I think a team like Kansas City would be perfect, like in round 7.
But I love Keys' idea. The more I think about it, it's so logical, right? Because guess what? If he don't sign, you still go out, you roll with Tyler Huntley. You already got this guy sitting. If things don't work out, he loses a year. You can still draft you another quarterback the next year and still have this guy ready to rock and roll as a high backup or a transitional guy. Like, it makes a lot of sense. And when you see those type of options, it lets me know that, look, I think 5 quarterbacks are getting taken in the 1st round this year. And I think Keys hits on something that I'm like, look, there are a lot of teams who don't know what's going on with their situation, with their quarterback situation, right? Like, the Jets would love to move on from Zach Wilson, but, between the cap hits and the reputation, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, right? And
what's his trade value?
This is just me. I believe that he was put in a trash situation, and all of a sudden, because he didn't say certain things a certain way, he became public enemy number 1 in that market, and it spread it like wildfire. If I was a team with a good head coach, I would take him. I really would. But again, trade value for it depends on the perception that the media and everybody else has put out there in terms of what he is. But I like Keys' idea because guess what? It opens up a door to put pressure on your guy to either sign, and if he don't sign, I got a guy who I can have sitting and ready to roll.
That's a great point. We actually should have brought up Lamar Jackson a lot more. That's on me. That's a great topic. But yeah, you got a great point, Keys. I mean, if you're Baltimore, you're sitting there at 22. There was a rumor the Ravens said that wasn't true, but I think it was on Twitter where Lamar Jackson turned down like a 3-year, $135 million all guaranteed contract.
He said it. No, he tweeted it. He tweeted
that. He tweeted that.
So, the Ravens denied it. But, if you're the Ravens, you're like, I'm trying to do math. What's it, $45 million a year? If you're the
46.
Ravens, yeah. If you're the Ravens and you're saying, hey, I don't want to pay this, sitting there at 22, that's not that bad. That's not that bad sitting there at 22. I didn't even think about the Lamar Jackson angle, but yeah, I didn't. I was thinking 31 or 30, but you're right. Baltimore at 22 may be a great spot for Hendon Hooker. That's a great topic. I do want to touch us base on this here. Listen, I'm about 170, 175. If I gain 9 pounds, that's a big deal. But when you're 315, 320, 9 pounds is a meal. All right.
That's not
one meal.
Right. Yes, right.
That's
it's not that big of a
meal.
deal. Especially if you live in Missouri. Like I've been to Missouri, right? And went to some restaurants, and I'm like, I see the name on the menu, but I didn't expect for it to come out looking like the goddamn rib from the Flintstones. I'm like, what is this? Who is supposed to eat
9 pounds of barbecue right now?
I'm saying, like, who's supposed to eat this? So I'm telling you, it doesn't take much. And like I get, he's out of breath. But if you can't tell me that you are a professional coaching, and when you think about anything about a coach, coaching is not a title, it is an action, it is what you do. And so if you're telling me you are a professional coach who can't get a guy ready from April to September, you don't deserve to coach. You don't deserve to call yourself a trainer.
Carter's not going past 5. I'm telling you right now, Pete Carroll's going to do the same thing that you did. He's going to look at the tape. He's going to say, I got the 30th ranked rushing defense in the NFL. I got 3 teams that want to run the ball. I'm going to figure out the way to make this work.
Yeah. If he gets took in there, then great. Right. Like I'm at a point where a lot of these picks and stuff is people need to start to look at it that at the end of the day, all this talk about positional value and all this, none of that stuff matters. Nobody gives a care. I never heard one person say positional value mattered when, in the grand scheme of things, Jamarcus Russell didn't pan out. You didn't hear people talking about positional value. They called him a bust. And at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is did the pick hit? Was it a good pick or not? Nobody gives a care about the rest of that stuff. And these teams better start taking players that hit. All that other stuff, like, oh my God, he likes mayonnaise in his coffee. I don't give a shit if he likes alcohol in his cereal. If he can perform and he can help you win games, let it be. It's not stopping him. And I think we spend too much time on little things that have nothing to do with nothing because it's a good.
For those of you that don't know, Will Levis put mayonnaise in his coffee. I saw that and almost threw up.
I don't even care.
I couldn't stand that, but
there's some things I can't stand.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that, and that listen, I want to bring everybody back, and I do want to do a live draft because it's this is the whole thing is that everybody got a player wanting to go somewhere different. Keys brought up something about Lamar Jackson, and hey, look, if I'm Baltimore at 22 and I can't get something with Lamar Jackson, why not draft Hooker and then say, hey, listen, Lamar, it's in your court. We got your replacement. That was a great thing, and so hopefully I can get everybody back, and we could do a live mock draft here before the draft. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to be live for the draft. I'm going to do a live stream for the draft. I'm going to be there for all 5 or 6 hours, and I'm going to live stream it and go over all the trades and everything. Perry has a great comment here. Quarterbacks are getting paid big money. Team, you have a good point. And that was something I didn't even think about. But if you're the Baltimore Ravens, you're sitting there at 22, you can't get a deal with Lamar Jackson, or you don't want to pay that much. Why not draft somebody like Hendon Hooker and say, hey, good luck?
It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me.
It makes sense, but then, like you said, with the whole putting butts in seats thing, getting Lamar out of there, especially in the controversy of not paying him, that might hurt the team in sales.
I really don't think so. By the way, that Ravens
I don't know. I'm not a big Lamar fan. Let me tell y'all that from y'all. Y'all two know I'm not a big Lamar fan. I never have been. I give probably what he's done, but it's not that impressive to me. It's nice for a running back to do what he's done in the business.
Hey, he's a great running back.
Yeah, he's the greatest to ever touch the ball. That's not his job. You know, I appreciate him working so hard at football that he's better at a position that he didn't even want to play in the first place. So, I mean, all in that saying, people love that dude for some reason. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't see how people put him in the same league as Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow. I really don't. I think he's more right there with he's a little bit above Cousins. He's right there with Tyler
Huntley.
Yes, there he goes. You knew what I was trying to say. I just think everybody loves him for some reason. They just like him.
I think
he's a loser.
I think what you're talking about is the fantasy football culture. Like I talk about the changing of all these sports leagues. I mean, I saw something the other day that said baseball were promoting bigger bases to promote stealing, and then they showed a picture of the goddamn base, and I'm like, yeah, I want to steal a base too. Like, what do you mean? Look how big this goddamn thing is, right? Like, and then you look at NBA. I remember back in the day, games would be like 75 to 64. Now it's 300 points total games. Like, what the hell is going on? And you look at the fantasy part of it, it's ruining a lot of the sports. And I think that's why people love them, because a lot of people have him on their fantasy team and they get all kinds of fantasy points. And the fantasy points to them relate to him being a good player. So at that point, that's what you're seeing as a fantasy culture happening. But overall, I think like Keys don't even realize what he just did. He got me over here like, fuck, that's even more pressure for the Lions to make a smart decision, because you're going to be in a position to have to take you a quarterback, and you got picked 6 and 8. And if you think that he's going to make it to you at 48, you just threw the freaking Ravens in the mix. Damn it, Keys. Thank you for giving me something else to just think about. Like, yo, this is a
you put this boy on some game right now.
Yeah, because when I look at the draft, I look at the Lions at 6, and that's where I get stuck. Because I have 1 through 5 down. Now I got Jalen Carter at 5 all day. But when I look at the Lions at 6, I seriously say, what? And you know, Keys has a good point, because Baltimore at 22, that's a team that's always creative.
That's brilliant.
And remember, they traded back into the first round. It was a couple of years ago. At pick number 32, they grabbed Lamar Jackson at 32. I think they also did the same thing for Teddy Bridgewater. But that's kind of where I see Hendon Hooker at, is either 30 or 31. But now Keys got me thinking, man, 22 makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. That makes a lot of sense.
Hey,
you talk about a shocker, that would flip the whole draft right there.
I mean, it really would.
That would flip the draft. Everybody's like, what? And then it's like,
it puts him on notice. Sign a deal, or you're just going to lose a year.
Because it's funny how they try to put him on that elite level, but you can't get past the first round of the playoffs, and this is your 6th season. So
now I'm not a big believer in quarterback win-loss records. I hate that part of it, right? Like I really do. But I will say this: when it comes to Lamar, it's the health factor on top of this. Again, he's had that same thing where you're not giving him receivers, and I'm like, but they did.
Yeah, they did.
They
did. Had receivers for like 3 seasons straight.
You know, like I forgot about that too. Perry Ball, Teddy was drafted hurt by.
I said Baltimore. You're right. Minnesota traded up in pick number 32 a couple years back. Perry, I got the team wrong, man. I apologize.
I just think that when you look at this offseason for a lot of these teams, every team is thinking that they're doing what's best for their team to get better. Every team think that they're doing their due diligences and things like that. But ultimately, what it's going to come down to is you get people who complement the people who's already on your roster. And that's where you're going to find out what a lot of these teams are going to be. I'm with Perry, you know, when he says that, you know, this booming of paying the quarterback, that shit got to stop. I'm in agreement. It needs to stop.
Yeah,
you know, it's getting ridiculous. You know, all these quarterbacks.
I mean, let's keep it real. I know y'all like Carr or whatever, and that's fine. It's your opinion. But you really think they should have paid him over $100 million?
I think he's averaging like $40 million a year, like 40 something million.
Think he's that much?
No,
Is he
but I
gonna go
don't think it's many quarterbacks who are worthy of that kind of money. And my issue with it is every time they do this, these quarterbacks go out and get these big contracts, and then they complain that they don't have no help. Well, all the money's on you.
Yeah.
And it's going to get worse because you're going to have Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. These guys are definitely going to break the bank.
Yeah.
And
He's going to lose Chase.
It's going to be expensive for these teams here. I got 619 Bengals fan. Yeah, we need more Bengals fans here. I know the Bengals Chiefs. It's an awesome rivalry. So as a Chiefs fan, for me saying that, I know it's weird, but yeah.
No, it's not. Look, that's adorable to call it a rivalry. But last time I checked, our quarterback
I think it's a rivalry. I consider us in the
Bills. Their accomplishment is beating the Chiefs in the season. Congratulations. You can't translate that to the playoffs all the time. And
they've already done it more than the Bills have. So
yeah, they done. I think it's a good rivalry. Two straight years, Chiefs. I think it's good for the NFL. Also, here I'm going to brag about myself here. I'm going to be an asshole. I hit 1,000 Wednesday. So
yes, sir.
Yeah,
don't worry, man. I'll be right behind you. I'm back in the business, man.
We need more Big Chief Shawn, man.
I know, man.
More Big Chief Shawn, man. You got some love from Lions fans here, so
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Everybody, the links are in the description. If you're not following these guys on YouTube, something's wrong with you.
I got to do a whole video where I've been this whole time because I was doing a whole bunch for my family, and I miss talking to all of y'all, and I appreciate y'all letting me on here so I can get back in the groove, man. I
love having you on, man. I love having
talking
you on.
to y'all, especially.
Well,
Dan loves the groupies, so
I do. Me and Big Chief Shawn last summer said we're gonna get together, eat like some fried Oreos.
We
never did. We gonna do that.
This is how long have we been saying we're going to do
that? This is a long time. We talked about that 9 pounds. Me and you going to weigh 9 pounds each.
Yeah.
Fried Oreos and everything.
Not done until you gain 9 more pounds.
I'm gonna gain 9 pounds. I can gain 9 pounds. Don't worry about Jalen Carter gaining 9 pounds. He's fine. Black Spirit has a good point. Cowboys can be in there too. Nobody knows what Dallas is going to do at 26.
Look, they got rid of Zeke.
Spot.
They got rid of Zeke, dude. So anything can happen.
I mean,
that was important too. That was important to get rid of Zeke because you look at it, Tony Pollard was outperforming him every
by a mile,
big time.
Mile.
So it's and again to my Chief brethren here and stuff, like the Lions play the Chiefs this year. I'm personally praying that game is like week 1, 2, or 3, so it's a little bit more manageable. You know what I mean?
You don't want it to be week 1 though, right? It's got to be like 2 or 3, not week 1.
I mean, I'll take 2 or 3.
Lions, but Reed likes to play off to not good teams, right?
Right.
That was the thing they made fun of last season.
Last time.
We did it last season. We did it with the Colts. We did it with the Titans. We did it with who's that other terrible team? We did it with the Raiders twice. Like, and they're terrible.
We played Denver.
We did it with Denver. Yeah, we did it with Denver too.
The Chiefs Lions played. I think it was
4 years ago. I'm thinking we're going to probably win by a field goal. I'm sticking to that.
Listen, the reality is the last time the Chiefs and Lions played, it was very interesting and very nail biting. It was a fight, and I just to me, I'm a big believer in when people play because I'm telling you right now, I think it's very unfair to have a West Coast team like Seattle travel from freaking Seattle to the East Coast and play at 1 o'clock. That's just BS. It's just BS. And I think it sucks. But when that game happened, I would love to have all y'all come on. We talk about the game and give our predictions and scores and stuff like that. And again, the road to 1,000 is on and popping. So make sure y'all continue to support each other and stuff. Like, the Lions community is absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? Like they're absolutely amazing. It's a lot of Lions fans in here right now, right? Who came and showed
There's
support.
A lot of Lions fans and the guys, Funk and One Pride, those guys have been just awesome. And I'm actually wearing Lions colors. I didn't realize it, but like I got like
you couldn't help yourself. You couldn't.
I guess not, man. I'm wearing some Lions colors, man. I didn't even realize it. And then we start talking Lions. Luke, when the week of the Chiefs Lions game, I hope that you can come on and you could tell me why we got to worry about the Lions.
Listen, my biggest thing is I can't wait for that schedule to drop and I see when we play. That's gonna tell me what my season's gonna be. That's gonna tell me how I'm gonna do predictions and stuff like that. Right now, looking at opponents is one thing, but when you play them, totally different beast.
Absolutely, it does mean a lot for the. And by the way, little gambling 101. Andy Reid's 9-1 in season openers. So
I told him he didn't want us week 1.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why I wanted you week 1, right? Because it's a two-parter, right? I'm aware of his success in week 1, which brings it to another point. If the Lions do get him week 1, which they usually don't do that, they usually started off with the former Super Bowl game or something like that. So no big. But if the Lions did get him week 1 and they win, could you imagine the confident boost that gives them down the stretch? So it's like, okay, cool. But week 2 or week 3, I feel real good with the Lions' chance because I feel like it's about where you play. But once you start skipping past that and we get further into like December, I get a little panicky.
I understand that a lot. And Sloanheads brings up a good point because I do think the Chiefs are playing in Frankfurt this year. I'm almost positive the Chiefs are playing in Frankfurt this year. I'll double check that, but yeah. And by the way, this would be a fun game in Germany. This would be a fun game. It sucked for me because I got to wake up at 8:30 or whatever.
Hey, Gooch, if it is, are you going to fly us all out there and buy us a ticket?
Gooch is off, so that means yes.
Nope, I'm here.
He made it known, like, nope, absolutely not. Never agreed to that.
Now that could happen, probably just not this year. But I was sitting back and I was just listening because y'all make some interesting points, especially Keys. Here's a couple of just throwing it out there. There was another defensive player that was the overwhelming favorite to be the number 1 pick. Showed up to his pro day overweight and probably had a career that's decent but didn't blow you away even in the beginning. And his name was Jadeveon Clowney. So take that for what you will. With the 9 pounds ain't really much.
It's a little bit different though. It's a little bit different, Gooch. I'm gonna tell you why. Clowney, and I tell people this. I tell you all the time. Clowney's fame came because he laid the shit out of the Michigan quarterback. That was it, right? Like outside of that, there was nothing nobody can really talk about other than that hit. And he's athletic and he's supposed to be this and it. And the reality is he came into it with heavy character issues. We're talking about a guy who literally had an NIL deal and took that money and helped his teammates who couldn't even get like groceries in the house. Who had no food to eat, no toilet paper to wipe their butts with. This guy was doing that. He's talking about a guy that volunteered to be there to get other recruits to come to the school, not getting paid for it. So the character concerns are not there like Jadeveon Clowney. And Jadeveon Clowney is a defensive end, not an interior D lineman. I don't give a shit about my interior D lineman being big. Hell, we got one that's huge. Like, I don't know if people know this or not, but like if you were to look at the Detroit Lions, Aleem McNeil, have y'all seen what he weigh? I don't hear nobody complain about his weight, right? That man is 6'2", 325. Why do I care if we got a guy that's 6'2", 325, right? Why do I now care that Jalen Carter, who's going to play interior, is coming in with 9 more pounds? And so when he was at the combine, I think they have him listed as, and I want to make sure I don't botch his weight at the combine, they had him listed as 6'3", 300. So 9 pounds under that, he 309. Woohoo! He's so fat. This is crazy. It's just crazy.
Big Chief Shawn going to eat 9 pounds of fried Oreos this summer. Hey, listen,
fried Twinkies, fried Oreos, fried everything.
Not Twinkies, dude.
That's what we were. Fried Oreos or fried Twinkies. We're gonna do both of them.
Okay, so all right, Luke G. We can have that discussion because I'm definitely gonna come check you out some more and be all in your comments. But the Lamar Jackson test,
he's gonna burn your feet.
I think there's something that everybody's forgetting. There's careers tied to Lamar Jackson. Like and you can't make it work because you traded up to get him. You set your whole offense around him. Harbaugh's career is tied to Lamar. If you can't make it work with a quarterback who has helped you win 70% of your games since he's been in the league, only bested by Mahomes, you think the Ravens are going to take a losing season?
You know what's interesting is they did sign a new offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator that was with Lamar Jackson this whole time in Baltimore is gone, and he's been replaced by, I think it's Mike Monahan or Mike Mohegan, the University of Georgia offensive coordinator, and that's kind of interesting. And ever since Keas said that, I'm kind of starting to get on board with Hendon Hooker to Baltimore at 22, or Baltimore trading down and trying to get Hendon Hooker later in the draft. Like I'm seeing more and more of that. Before I let you guys go, I want to go with the free agent signing that surprised you the most. And I'll start off with Luke G. Which is there a free agent signing that just kind of like made you go, what?
A few of them that got me going, what? Like I like the biggest one was the Eagles' Rashawn Penny. Like I'm a Seahawks fan. I seen Rashawn Penny. I thought that he was going to be so much better, but the injuries and stuff that's going on, like you brought back Boston Scott. You already got Gainwell, and then you signed Rashawn Penny when you're sitting at 10 with a chance to probably draft Bijan Robinson. What the hell is this? Like is he a camp body? I mean, I think his deal is like 1 year, $1.35 million. Don't sound real commental to me. Like I'm trying to figure out like what is this? What exactly is the plan here with this? And to me, that signing is baffling. You're in position to get a stud running back. It doesn't make sense.
I didn't get that. By the way, Rashad Penny, he was one of my draft crushes. Like
Mine too.
Love this guy. I love this guy. He was returning kicks at San Diego State. He was just running over. I love this guy. He can't stay healthy, but you're right. When he was signed by Seattle or by Philly, I was like, what the hell's going on? That's a good one, man. That is a good one because I'm 100% with you. I was like, what the hell are they doing? Keas, man, which free agent signing has you which one is a little confusing for you?
Man, part of me wants to throw a curveball and say the Orlando Brown Jr. signing, just because now Jonas Williams wants out. But man, this is a hard one. I kind of want to say, part of me wants to say Jesse Bates because you leave a perennial contender. Mm-hmm. But I think overall I would have to say resign. Does this count? Re-signing Daniel Jones?
No, it makes a lot of sense. That's a great one. That's a great one.
He said that Daniel Jones got me scratching my head. Like, what was the game plan with this?
I mean, they did help him out. Don't get me wrong, but if my choice is start over or give him the money they gave him, even if it's only a couple of years, and hey, I like Dable, I trust Dable, but man, if it was my money and I'm looking at this, anyway.
No, it's a good. I'm looking at the Giants, and now you got me. All these teams picking after the Chargers because I don't think the Chargers are going to take a quarterback. Who knows what they'll do? But 22, you got Baltimore.
Owner is cheap,
and then you got 23. You got Minnesota. And when Big Chief Shawn said that, I'm kind of like, that kind of makes sense. And then. Jacksonville's not going to take a quarterback, but they could easily trade down. So let me throw this out there. You wouldn't have paid Daniel Jones? Would you have drafted a quarterback? Would you have signed Baker Mayfield or?
Man, I guess if his contract was about half of Daniel Jones, like I don't really trust Baker Mayfield a whole lot, and I know he looked better this last year, but to me, he's just in that category. I trust him less than even Jimmy G and Derek Carr. Like, I just don't see it with Baker Mayfield. So if you were going to draft a guy and you wanted him set for a year behind Baker, okay. But if you're talking about to be the guy, I don't really see that from him personally.
So you're okay with Daniel Jones? You just wasn't okay with the money, or do you not like Daniel Jones at all?
I mean, I guess I like him more at less, but you know, it's kind of like, and I forget who it was and what the exact term was, but someone had something like the Derek Carr gap effect or something that they were talking about. You know, he's just good enough, but he's not good enough to get you there type of thing. And it puts you in this no man's land. And that I would put Daniel Jones in that category where, you know, it just kind of puts you to where he's just good enough to where it's hard to move on to a new quarterback, but he's also not going to get you there. Right. I guess in Dan dating terms, that would be like what, Dan, like a solid 6.5 where she's got, you know, a pretty good paying job, you know, and she's fairly emotionally stable, but you know, she's gaining weight and she doesn't want to go to the gym and work out with you type of thing.
This is okay, Luke. In case you're not aware, they've been giving me some business about dating some Big Berthas. So
listen,
I don't know where
listen, I ain't gonna listen. You ain't gonna never hear Luke say that. Luke love them all. Luke, he married. So make no mistake. Big, small, tall, or short, don't make no difference for me. As long as they were born with the right equipment, we're good. That's all I'm saying.
We're not doing a transformer. Okay, so I probably just got demonetized there.
Listen, I tell you right now. No, this is no joke. I'll never forget this. I had a year in college. I'm in college, and there was this girl. Like I'm only like 5 foot, like 10, 5 foot 11 in that area, right? And this girl was like 6'3". She was fine as hell. I didn't care 2 bits about it. And I was like, look, I know you taller than me. This is exactly what I told her. I know you taller than me. Mm-hmm. But when we land down, we the same height. That's all she needed to know. And it worked out great until she went through my phone, right? It was worked out great until she went through the phone. I was like, oh, you just got trust issues. But I'm just telling you, I don't discriminate. You hear me? I don't discriminate. If it's a woman, we good. Let me
I love it. I love it. All right, Gooch. I don't know if you can follow up with that, but man, what's your free agent signing that threw you through a loop?
All right. Well, first, I want to shout out Fairleigh Dickinson's win over #1 Purdue in March Madness. And that was awesome.
Can you repeat that?
Fairleigh Dickinson, they beat Purdue.
Who the hell is Fairleigh Dickinson? Who is that?
So wow!
Shout out to those guys. Cinderella, baby.
Oh my God.
Actually, as I was thinking about this as we were going along, can I give you 2 like my favorite free agent signing?
Yeah.
My favorite free agent signing is P-Ron to the Niners.
That's a good one.
Because I think that'll loosen up those wide receivers to quit from having to play running back and taking all those hits, which could do nothing but benefit San Francisco. But second, I actually don't have – I don't have a free agent signing that kind of makes my eyebrow go up and go, it's a not signing that's got me questioning. And it's CJGJ not getting a contract yet.
Gooch, I apologize for this, man. P. Ryan went to Denver.
Oh, did he go to Denver? Who went to? That's right.
Another reason I like what they're doing there.
I like that move anyway. It's actually pretty solid.
No, it was not one it was not the team that I had, but Denver's a team that I do think that did some really good things during free agency.
No, I don't think Russ is going to cook with it, but
no.
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't have to though. You got P. Ryan. They signed Michael Burton from us, who was like, I better not say who ranked him as the second best run blocking fullback this last year, but there's one entity out there who ranked him as the second best run blocking fullback. But I don't know that we're necessarily going to have that position moving forward. But anyway, so they're definitely gearing up in the run game to help Russ out.
But I think CJGJ not getting a contract yet is kind of interesting, especially over Darius Slay. That just kind of throws me for a little bit, and the fact that nobody's going after him. Like it really interests me.
Because he's a guy. Maybe I'm a little higher on him than most, but like if I had to choose, if I was Philly and I had to choose between CJ, GJ,
And Slay, it's CJ, GJ.
or Slay, I would take CJ. I can't do it.
Right, but I would. That's what I was thinking when.
Yeah, I'm taking him over Slay.
When they re-signed Slay and CJ's like, the disrespect is real. I'm like, wait, what? Like they haven't even offered you a contract yet?
No, you're right. You're right. That kind of threw me. The
Bengals make sense there since they lost both of their safeties.
I think what people don't realize is this: there's a lot of people who prefer their safeties to be bigger, and people act like his little stature of 5'11" or 5'10" or whatever he is undersized. And
Byron Matthew, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like people, they get caught up in the smallest things. Like I hate to say this. One of my favorite players was a guy who hit so hard that he hurt himself in Bob Sanders. He was 5 foot. Like he was like they say he was 5'8", but he was literally with Prince heels on. He was like 5'5". Like I'm not being funny. He wasn't big.
No,
right?
I remember Bob Sanders.
Some of your
I went to University of Iowa, so you guys know I love Bob Sanders.
Bob Sanders, John Lynch was undersized.
Yeah, he was.
There's a lot of great safeties that aren't huge, but they were some of your best players and hardest hitters. You know what I'm saying? I would watch highlights just to see if Bob Sanders hit somebody. Yeah. Because he was trying to deplete you and take your soul in every hit. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed that.
That was I love when we talk about old time players, man. That's one of my I love.
It's because we want to get we as a fan base want to get so far past the past, but the past is our greatest teacher. We learn from our past. Yeah, every time I look at teams who have success, they follow their history. The Lions figured it out that, you know what, when we had our most success, we ran the ball. What do? They get a head coach who wants to run the ball first, right? And then you start to look at some of the other teams, right? You know, when you talk about the Bears, they had most of their success when they had a run game and good defense. They're trying to recreate that. And you see these different teams that you can go through and you can see how their history determines how they're going to play. And that's what they win off of. It's all the other stuff that gets into the way with this fantasy football stuff that ruins it, in my opinion. But overall, I just look at, you know, these things and I sit there and I look at, you know, Gardner or Johnson, and I'm thinking, like, if you need a safety, take him. The only reason I don't want him on the Lions is because I believe we have players similar to his skill set already. And I can't have 3 players of the same skill set on my team at the same position. I just don't want that. I think Kirby Joseph and Tracy Walker are the same, and I think he's similar to them in a lot of ways. And I that's the reason I don't want him. But if you're telling me he can go to, like, say, the Bucks, I would love him at the Bucks, right? Like, that makes more sense. But outside of that, yeah, I think they want to keep that tandem together at the cornerback position. And with this draft, it ain't gonna be too many safeties getting took it in the first round. They'll be able to handle that problem easily in a second.
No, I'm trying to figure out if there's even going to be a second safety. Well, if you count, that's kind of an interesting. If you count Brian Branch as a safety, I don't know if you really count him as.
I count him as a safety. I know everybody want to keep making him a slot corner. He's a safety.
Yeah, and so if you count Brian, maybe 2, maybe. Big Chief Shawn here, man. What's the free agent signing that has you confused?
Y'all all have made some great points. Keas, Gooch, good points. G, good points. Y'all make some good points. But I have to do one that scratches my head because it was an acquisition that I wanted to happen as a Chiefs fan for the longest time. And now that it's happening and this person went to another team, I'm just scratching my head. And what the blind bleep is Patrick Peterson doing on the damn Steelers?
That's a good one.
That's just like
that's a good one. We should have brought that up.
The rumor is he's supposed to move over and play a hybrid safety position. And at that point, it makes sense because this is what the Packers did with Charles Wilson. They said, hey, you're going to move you over to the safety spot, and it extended his career further out. I think there's a lot of people who should be moved to safety. We got a guy on our team in Okuda who should be a safety. I don't know what the holdup is, but some people are just that, and we should have him that. And I think Patrick Peterson at the safety position with Fitzpatrick, that could be a bit of a problem for people, believe it or not, because he still has the ball skills to locate the ball and get it. But I can see your confusion with it.
Of all the teams you could have gone to do that, you go to a team that's kind of rebuilding. That's the thing that's like blowing my mind right now. Like
a team where you got to face
Gates
and Higgins
on a rebuilding team. Like, is that the time to do that now? You're at that time where you're at the end of your career, bro. You need to be looking for glory and nothing else. And you go to the Steelers.
Maybe he thinks he can win with the Steelers.
Really? Because nobody else.
I don't think he signs with Pittsburgh and doesn't think, hey, I can win here. Maybe he thinks maybe he thinks he can win there. I don't know.
The hesitation
that's right up there when a woman thinks she can change.
Did you hear the hesitation in your voice when you try to convince me why Patrick Peterson is a good fit for the Steelers? It was just,
I'm trying to convince you. Yeah.
Wait a minute. The Chiefs have been trying to get at you for years, for like obsessively, and you turned us down left and right. The Steelers offer you $14 million. You walk right with them. Like,
well, hey, Sloanhead says Steelers are going to be in the playoffs. Sloanheads, I don't recognize you, man. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe. By the way, everybody's channel is on the show. Make sure you subscribe to everybody here.
So are they expanding the playoffs? Because I'd like to know who's not making the playoffs, because I could put way more than 7 teams above the Steelers.
I mean, dang. And he's going into y'all can feel that the Steelers are rebuilding. Y'all know this. Roethlisberger's gone. They're just trying to find their identity right now. And Patrick Peterson just jumps right in thinking that they got the solution ready. Or you're not at that age.
This is why we asked the question. It's insane.
I
like that one. Listen, well, I want to wrap up because I've kept these guys here for over 2 hours. So before we go, if anybody's got any final comments, questions, let's get it out here. Closing statements here. Big Chief Shawn, man, it is so good to see you again, man.
Thank you.
We do some more videos, please.
Yes. Ladies and everybody who's watching this, first of all, congratulations, dude, making it in 1,000. I should have done that a long time ago. I was busy, blah, 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 blah. Secondly, Keas, Gooch, thank y'all for dealing with being patient with me. I love y'all boys. Y'all know that. Much love to both of y'all. It was really nice talking to you, sir. Yes, there will be more videos of me. I'm back at it like a crack addict, guaranteed. I'm ready to get back to work. I miss
Lawrence Taylor treatment.
Huh?
That Lawrence Taylor treatment. You say I'm back at it like a crack addict.
Yeah.
That Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah. Having the nerve to tell kids don't smoke crack. All right, buddy. You know best.
Dude, final statement before we get out of here, man. What's the talent have to say?
Man, it's been a pleasure, man. Luke G. Obviously, it's nice to meet you. Good to see my brother again. Keys, Big Chief Shawn. There's always love for you boys, Dan. It was fun. We should do this again. Oh,
I want to do it again here.
You should be on do a mock draft because mine is going to be excellent.
I may be able to, but hopefully your boy will be recording at the draft.
Well, hey, listen, I'm releasing a new mock draft Tuesday, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I have everything down except for those damn Lions at 6. I got like 4 different players. The Lions at 6, I've done so many different things. They're kind of frustrating me. But
Gonzalez is the pick at 6.
This Gonzalez is
that's the wrong pick.
We are
okay. So I've had Joey Porter Jr. and I've had John Robinson, the running back out of Texas, and then they signed Montgomery. So now I got to rethink it. Anyway,
don't rethink it. You still in the right area. Don't rethink it.
I have to be honest. I really like the John Robinson to the Lions at 6, but after that, after signing David Montgomery, has me questioning Keys, man, any final thoughts or statements, man? It's kind of weird. We almost agreed on everything today.
We actually agree more than you think. It's just the times when we don't agree, it is like very strongly opposing views. So it makes it feel like we don't agree that much. But yeah, I got a little bit of both here. Again, Dan, congratulations on 1,000 subs.
Thank you so much.
Big Chief Shawn, it's great to see you again. And Luke, it was an honor to be on here with you, to meet you. I look forward to more interactions and deep diving into your show. And Gooch, one of the hardest working people out there. So it's been my honor, and my wife is great to watch the kids right now. And my last statement I want to say, probably not even still on here, but to the idiot who doesn't think the Chiefs don't have legit secondary pieces, I got 2 names for you. And if you don't know them, that's your problem. L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie. They're legit cornerbacks.
Amen.
Luke, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on, man. I'm always geeked out. Thanks to you, I got lots of love from the Lions community. Before I get out of here, man, you got anything you want to say to everybody?
Listen, it was so much fun. Like, I love talking about my Lions. I do. It's even funner when I can talk about all the other teams and what I see and what I think. I rarely get to do that because I focus so much on the Lions unless we're going against the team. But this is so much fun. I was so happy to meet every last one of you gentlemen. Like I said, I've been in Missouri. I'm not eating that goddamn food and thinking I'm not getting 9 pounds. It's just not happening. Okay. It's just not happening. Right. But at the end of the day, this is good. And I never in any show, unless I ended on a positive note, and I use it with a positive quote. It's simple from me. Just because you broke down now does not mean you're broke down forever. You can turn things around. You can be better. You can make things a little bit different. Don't sit into your own, sorrows and stuff. Lick those wounds, heal them up, and keep pushing. Put one foot in front of the other. I tell people all the time that, if you ever look at great white sharks, they have to keep swimming to keep water going through their gills. They understand that to stop means death. I need you people to keep moving, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and keep getting it done. And don't ever give up, because just when you think that it's time to give up is when your breakthrough come through. And as always, I end every show on this quote: "Don't be no chump. Please do your research."
Man, that's a great way to end it, man. I can't top that. So, guys, thank you so much for joining. Perry, I didn't ignore this question. I've kept these guys on for 220. If you tune in next Friday, I'll deep dive into this because that's a great question here. But, guys, thank you so much, and everybody enjoy your weekend.
Sprinkle in the knowledge.